What is going on, everybody? What do you think about that? Huh?
Fire.
Yeah. I have to confess, I'm sitting around today working on some other stuff, and I'm just like, it's like I didn't even make an intro to the show today. So I knocked that out in a couple hours, but I like it. I think it worked good.
I think they need to take some of those scenes or splices and put into the art and stuff intro. That was awesome.
I need to make a new out and stuff intro. Yep, I absolutely do. Welcome everybody to this is the first of these shows. I think I might do more of these. I was talking to Jay, and he kind of convinced me earlier today. He's like, "Are you gonna do more of these?" I was like, "Maybe." He's like, "You know what you should do?" He's like, "Since your channel centers around like comic books, he's like, you should talk about comic books that are made into movies, and you should call it From Comics to the Screen." And I was like, "Jay, I like that. I'm gonna do it." So thank you, Jay. Appreciate that.
It works once in a while. The brain does work.
Right?
Once in a while. Yeah.
But I do have some people here I don't think I've had on the show before. So Nadia, welcome to the channel. I think it's the first time we've had you on. How you doing? I love to get up here. This is what's up.
I have a second costume. There will be a wardrobe change, because I'm not going to be wearing this the whole fucking time. Oh, I don't know if I can swear on this.
You can. It's all right.
Oh,
okay.
Swear away.
I'm good. I just got home from seeing Deadpool Wolverine for the second time.
Yes.
All right.
We do have to talk about that at some point on our channels. I think we might cover a little bit on Monday when we get to Akba, because I saw it yesterday and that was pretty fun. I gotta say, pretty fun movie.
You can see my baby Deadpool right behind me.
I love it. That's great. Vex says, "Who's that hot chick in the hockey mask?" Oh yeah.
Vex has my number. She knows.
I do have to say, like, I'm jealous. Like, I want that mask now.
Really my husband, because for Halloween we went as Casey Jones and April O'Neil, and our dogs went as turtles.
Oh, that's what's up.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
That is what up. Sean.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna go around and just introduce ourselves while we're waiting for people to jump in here. Kayla is around here somewhere. Who are you, Sean? What are you doing here for people that might not know you, joining the channel for the first time?
I'm Sean Ahrendt. I'm the creator, writer of the indie title Type 1. I'm one half of Hot and Stuff with Joe, and I do appreciate comic book art with Joe, Kayla, and hang out with Jay every once in a while. So
every once in a while, yes. Yeah. Gooch, welcome back. Who are you, man? What are we doing here?
I'm a bum that just sits behind the 7-Eleven, and I decided to join.
Who is this man?
Yeah. I got this little channel called Diabolical Souls Presents, where we talk about animation, and I have a lot of my friends come on and we discuss it, and it's been a blast. It's been a lot of fun, and I don't know. That's about it. I'm just a dude. I'm just a dude looking for a way.
Are you gonna say looking for love?
I was just like, where are you going with that? Those are song lyrics. I know. Yeah.
But
we do have Kayla here. Kayla, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. I was just trying to get myself situated and just tweet out that we were live. So
yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm here.
Who are you? What do you do?
I mean, I'm Kayla. That's who I am. I am I'm just Kayla. That's pretty much like what I do. I do what I want whenever I want. I stream with pretty much like almost everyone here on this panel. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. I wrote a story for Joe's Reaper Destroyer supplemental.
Yes.
And I've edited some books. And everyone here is one of my great friends. So. And
she used to be the host of Kayla Cuts. Was it Kayla Cuts or Kayla Cuts
Deep? Kayla Cuts Deep.
Deep, that's right.
And I probably will start interviewing once again and probably doing some book reading because I'm an avid reader and I love to read, and everyone deserves to hear me read in my Massachusetts accent. What can I say?
That's a good point. And people like me that don't like to read, I like to be read too. So that works. Like somebody read to me and I'll listen to all the great novels, but I don't have time for that. Amateur Analyst, we've had you on the show, I think, before, but it's been a while since you've been on. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I actually don't remember being on here before, which is strange.
I think it was one of the shows you were on with Jay, and then you jumped on with him to our show right afterwards.
Oh, is that what happened? Okay.
I believe so.
I have watched your stream a few times before. This is probably why I'm not remembering, but yeah, I'm just I've streamed with Jay a bunch of times. You know, he actually found me out back of that 7-Eleven. So
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fun, long story, but
Yeah.
Wait, is that
he
true?
sort of found me. I do like sort of these breakdowns of movies and stuff. So thought he'd have me on because he was doing the same thing, and yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
No drugs involved.
Actually, me
No
and him
drugs
started he started off with me when it came to, we started off doing Blue Eyed Samurai, and we just, it just kind of took off from there. Me and him just reviewing that. And it was a blast. It was an absolute blast. And then we got into Arcane. We did a lot of things. So his videos are top notch. You should really check out his videos. He breaks down Arcane, Maverick, Top Gun, and Iron Giant, and a few others, and he's like really breaks them down nicely. So
Absolutely.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm blushing.
We just can't see it, but we'll take your word for it.
I'm way too much of a coward to show my real name and my face.
I understand. I'm the opposite. Like I gotta have people see this. You know, I'm just like people need to see all this going on here. I mean, I'm just, how could you not? Nadia, welcome to the show. What do you do? Where can people follow you?
I have a horror channel. I do horror news and breakdowns of horror movies. It's called Horror with Nads. And then I also run a pop culture channel called Inside All Day. And right now with Kayla, we're doing live streams of the House of Dragon right after the episode ends. So.
Oh, nice. I didn't realize both of you guys were
She
doing
puts
that.
up with me. She
Oh,
puts
well,
up with
someone
me,
has
so
to.
that says a lot. Because I'm a lot to
God
deal
bless you,
with
Nadia.
when I go on my A Song of Ice and Fire rant.
Especially with her and Lady Bellfire together.
I need to check out one of these shows. I guess I didn't know you guys did that. Yeah, I need to check it out tomorrow night. So right after House of Dragon, how you guys go live?
Yep.
and
we got
check
a
out
panel.
her
Yeah,
channel.
I mean, I always run late.
Everyone check out their channel.
So
I'm
I'm always running late, but I'm there.
have to
But yeah,
jump in the chat.
my passion is horror because I used to do special effects makeup for Hollywood. I worked
Ooh,
in the
really?
industry for like
Nice.
13 years.
Oh, no shit.
So,
That's awesome.
and haunted house industry. So I started the horror thing because I'm like, let me talk about something I really love. No offense, I'm not talking about Star Wars anymore.
I love
Marvel.
horror movies. I love horror movies. There was actually one time I was like, I should start talking about horror movies more often, but it doesn't really kind of go with the comic book aesthetic on this channel. But
Comic book
wait,
horror
wait,
movies.
wait.
There are and horror comic books though.
Exactly.
Too. I've
That's
got
true.
like a ton of them. Yeah.
You can talk about some John Carpenter stuff for sure.
Yep.
You can definitely talk about Clive Barker stuff, like Nightbreed, one of my favorite guilty pleasure of a movie. I know it's like not a great movie, but I love it. So.
Stephen King stuff. Yep. There's a ton of.
well, one of these days, Zach, great to have you with us, brother. What are you working on, man?
I'm working on a Teenage Mutant Ninja show. Wow, I can't even talk. That was
I like it.
That was
I like it.
embarrassing. Hold on,
Sound
let
like me
retry
now,
that.
man.
That was a stroke.
I mean, yeah, it's hard multitasking, but so I'm working on a TMNT piece for everybody watching the show. My goal is
Sweet.
trying to get this done. If not, I'll probably be damn near close, like I have been the past couple times. I've been really just working on a secret project for Jay that's going to be coming out in the 1st. I've been trying to prioritize that a little bit. So this drawing, I'll show what I got, and yeah, dude. I had to be honest. I know a lot about the TMNT with the movies and stuff, but their comic books, a lot of the stuff that they've been doing, how much have they retconned and how much they. It was so hard for me to follow through the years. So I'm so out in the dark when it comes to all the stuff that the TMNT have and that they're putting out now. Apparently they got like a female turtle part of them, and I'm like,
I did hear that. Yes.
yeah, I'm just like, all right, I get, I got no issues with that. Like, it's just, all right, I'd like to know who this character is, but I just don't have the time to watch it.
As far as all the comics go, I don't know because I never really followed the comic, and we'll get into it in a second now, and we'll dive into the movie here. Before we do, let's take say hi to the chat. Hail the Lord was #1 in the chat and #1 in our hearts. Great to see you, brother. Thank you for being here. Mark Penguin is here as well.
Yeah.
Wise man say, forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Nope.
That is a proverb.
True words.
Absolutely.
I know
the Mama
people that can
Badger's
quote
here.
this movie, like
Mama
100%.
Badger.
Great to see you, Mama. No, Zach, I'm the same way. Like I could probably quote the entire movie, or at least I could at one point. But yeah, there's so many great lines in this. It's insane. Mr. Von Stugel's in the house.
Ooh.
greatest movie ever made. I will say this. This is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. And people kind of laugh when if everybody asks her like, "What's your favorite movie?" I'm like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But it is. It's one of the first movies that pops in my head. Like, this movie had a giant impact on me when I was a kid. I still love it today.
You know, I gotta be honest. Don't hate me for it. Don't hate me, but it is. I've watched this. I've watched this movie recently again after so many years, and it's extremely childish. Yeah, it's a great fucking movie, but like I don't know if for the Turtles does it still hold up to this day?
Yes.
You know, moving nostalgia aside, I think it needs like a really good another live action update just to that done
They
right.
did.
Absolutely not.
They did, and
right.
it sucked.
Yeah, that's why I said done
we
right.
can debate that. We can debate that as we go. Because I got some thoughts on that.
This is like one of my
I
number one
disagree.
comfort movies.
No
Like,
remakes. Just go
sick.
with the Last Ronin. Just do a really good Last Ronin.
Well, that's coming up.
Yeah.
We got to talk about that for a
Just
second.
puppet
before the
outfits
show
for
ends.
it too. Upgrade them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. Got Edwin in the house. Great to see you. Sammy Three Pete's here. Dudes and dudettes. Major League Butt Kicking is back in town.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Jeremy Burtz, member of the channel, is here. Great to see you. Vex, we already said hi to, but we'll say hi again. Dang, these turtles go hard. Yes. Got to put them to some heavy metal. I mean, come on. Fighting ninjas. Yeah,
Metal,
metal.
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Chris says, Cowabunga, y'all. Ahoy.
Waifu.
Waifu? Okay.
That's me. Waifu. That's my husband.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What was that
So-
pause? Where you're like,
Waifu.
That's like my
Like
Timmy
waifu,
from South Park
waifu, what is it?
impersonation. when I can't pronounce a word, it's just always like, "Wah." Okay. Apex Comics is in the house. Great to see you. Member of the channel, Tarks9 is here as well. Good to see you, brother. Can't wait to read it. What are we talking about? Oh,
The
Spawn.
book.
Kayla was offering to read to me.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
I will,
let's see, who
Nadia.
else?
I will. Calm.
Thank you, April. Thank you, April.
I think that might be it. We might be caught up here.
and the woman in
AJ's
the
here.
movie is actually a fucking redhead. So
Yeah, like the
Well,
last
yes.
time, the one and
Yeah,
only
but they
time.
did change her
Yeah.
character in the animated series and everything, because originally April O'Neil was a computer hacker. And then with the cartoon series, and then when they did the movies, they made her into a reporter.
I guess I did not.
So
know that.
originally in the comic, like when in the original run for Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman, that she was a hacker.
She was a computer hacker. Yes.
Oh, okay,
Huh,
okay.
I did not know that.
That's
Yeah.
all right.
So I had
Interesting
the pleasure of
tidbits.
meeting Kevin Eastman a few years ago, and when I was interning with the magazine, the owner of the magazine interviewed him, and some of the questions that were asked, like how they got the names for the villains and everything, they were actually based off of the fact they were working in the kitchen, like cleaning stuff in the kitchen.
Oh.
So yeah, they're
Nice.
basically Shredder is named after like, you know, a cheese grater.
Nice.
Originally he was going to be the grater, and that's why when you look at him you see elements of that. So there's like a lot of interesting things. And Kevin Eastman, if you ever get a chance, you're a fan of his, I would say meet the man. He'll sign anything. Like I know I have this abomination of a mess over
He'll
here,
sign anything.
but that I have like an ooze container that's like signed there. I have a bunch of stuff, a bunch of books. Then they did like the Radical Ragdolls, which were these cats, kind of like the Turtles. And he signed that because he did some of the artwork on the cover for it. But yeah, I'm actually a big Ninja Turtle fan.
I'm learning so much about you, Kayla, from Game of Thrones to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Just tell me about your life.
She is a
I'm
true
just a
nerd.
nerd.
Yeah, I was just gonna say she's a true nerd. Absolutely.
I mean, I get it's just interesting IPs that normally would not cross. Yet,
yeah, well,
here we are.
I got into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because of my babysitter across the street. Her and her twin brother were heavily into it. They were like 14, babysitting me and my sister, and we used to get all their hand-me-downs because this was a movie that came out in the late 80s or mid 80s.
1990.
Was it 1990? So I can't remember. I was a kid though, so I started getting into Ninja Turtles around like 1996.
Okay.
Because of, you know, they lived across the street and we got all their hand-me-downs, like clothing, the VHSs, action figures. So yeah, I just always was drawn to the Turtles. And April O'Neil, I just thought she was so cool and so badass, and I wanted to be like her. And part of my inspiration to impress at cons, like my tagline was that I wanted to be the April O'Neil of the comic book world, and I wanted to bring truth with doing interviews. So, yeah.
I
Well,
like that.
Kayla
Yeah.
actually led me into what I was actually going to start the show off with, and I was going to go around and have you guys just say like, how old were you when you got into the Turtles for the first time, and what kind of impact that had on you as a kid? I know Sean's probably like me, probably similar age we got into Turtles because we're both the same age. I know for me it was the original cartoon that one day just popped on TV and mom sat us down and I'm watching it. I'm like, man, this is the coolest thing ever. And then short term after that, the movie hit, and it was just like, man, I was probably obsessed with Turtles. I mean, I wanted to go and be a ninja. So I started taking karate classes, you know, just because I was trying to become a turtle at some point, you know, and I wanted to get size and all this stuff. You know, my two brothers, we had our favorite turtles, and our dream was to become a turtles. We made a turtle sewer den out in our root cellar, and we used to have my mom and dad like deliver pizza to us, and we eat pizza down there, and just it was an obsession. But Sean, starting with you.
All right, wait.
Childhood.
So
Right.
does that make me, you, and Jay her Ninja Turtles if she's April O'Neil?
That could be.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in. So
I'm in.
I remember seeing the comic at this grimy ass store and comic shop in the Bronx, but I just saw it. It had no impact on me because I was just so young. But it, like Joe says, it's the toys, the cartoon. The movie is like Dark Knight for us, like for me at least. You know, it's the adult theme version of the pajamas. Turtles were life, man. Got all the toys as a kid. I was really spoiled and a brat. But yeah, most of my adventuring was being a Ninja Turtle, and I judge a person on who their favorite Ninja Turtle is. So
the Turtles were the first time where I realized that the word "damn" was the coolest word I'd ever heard in my life.
Wasn't
you know
it?
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. When Raphael, the first time he's like, "Damn," I'm just like, I turned to mom. I was like, "Damn." She's like, "Don't say that." I was like, "Oh,
What the fuck?
Jay, how about you, man?
I remember getting the comic issue 1 and then 2 and then a few others after, and I remember the first time reading it, I'm like, these guys are swearing, they're drinking, they're kicking ass, and I'm like, this is awesome. I was just like, this is cool, because back then, like, and that would have been in the 80s. I think I want to say 86, 87, somewhere around there when that came out. I can't remember the date, but I remember grabbing it at book fair with my buddies, and they're like, "What are you grabbing that for?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It looks cool." And when we got home, they all went, like, "We're gonna go back tomorrow and grab a copy," and they all went, and we all laughed because it was we're so used to, like, because like at that time, like Frank Miller had the Dark Knight come out. There was like so many comics that were just going away from the average comic book storylines. They were actually exploring and getting deep and getting grittier. So it was really cool to see something like that. And then it just kind of it just exploded like overnight, literally. Like I just remember having the books, and then next thing you know, there was a cartoon, there was figurines, there was a movie. I was just like, what the hell just happened? But of course I sold my comics, and
no.
Bummer.
Yeah, well, you know, girls and other things, you know.
Well, yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
I've been there, Jay. I've had
No,
to
that's no
sell
excuse. That's
first
no
edition
excuse.
comics.
Yeah.
No, you get no sympathy from me.
I had a long box of comics, and I got 2,500, and that was back in '91 when I sold them. So
yeah, I get it. Cocaine's expensive.
it was.
I had a bunch of Superman ones that I sold to help with some debt for my mom at the time. So yeah.
Oh wow.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Kayla, you kind of already said it. I mean, if you want to say anything else, go for it. Otherwise, I'll jump to Amateur Analyst.
You can just call me amateur. It's fine.
I mean,
Okay,
I just think that this movie still holds up to this day. In these suits, if you ever get a chance to look at these suits, they look like horror shows right now.
like they're all beat up and stuff.
So
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
pictures
they're
of them.
melting
Yeah.
away. Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
they're
probably
like-
the latex. Yeah.
Yes. And I believe that a couple of the people that were in the Ninja Turtle suits were from Marblehead, Massachusetts. I can't remember which movie. It might be a different movie, but I know that a few of the actors in the suits were from Marblehead, Mass. And it's just Jim Henson's Jim Henson is Jim Henson Studios. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I
Never been
love
the
this
same
movie.
since we
It's a comfort movie for me. If I'm sick, I put this movie on, or it's definitely one of my comfort movies. So.
Oh, 100%. All right, Amateur, we'll jump to you.
Well, I feel like the odd one out here now because
Okay.
this
Like
is way
this.
before my time. Like I'm a late '90s baby, so
Okay.
like I think the only thing I would have been exposed to was the animated series, not the OG one. There was like a Nickelodeon one, I think, that I didn't really care for. It was sort of hard because this is like when Harry Potter was huge and Lord of the Rings just came out. And all anyone could talk about was the prequels, and I never really got into comic books. I didn't know anybody who was into comics, so like there was really no route like where I grew up to get into it. And we had like one comic book store on the other side of town. So yeah, comics were never really a factor for me, but I was always aware of like these OG sort of films. I'm not sure how many there were, but you know, like the older, cooler kids were always talking about like Power Rangers and Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff. It's just
What a time to be alive.
Yeah, it all just came
Tell you what.
slightly before me, so it didn't really have that big of an impact on me. But I gotta say though, like I saw this like as an adult for the first time today, and I think it holds up great. Like
Nice.
like all the goofy kid stuff aside, like I was actually surprised at how well written it was. You know,
It
like,
really
there's a lot
is.
of good
Like,
stuff, which we'll probably get into. But
I was just gonna say, yeah, we'll jump into that once we start actually talking about the movie here. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Nadia, what about you?
Well, I'm a Power Rangers baby.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I'm a
Nothing
late
wrong with
80s
that.
baby. Had a lot of siblings and cousins, and every summer we would go up to Wisconsin, and this was one of the movies my parents like rented for us, VHS, which I don't know if Amateur knows what a VHS is, but
The good old
And-
days.
yeah, I
yeah.
actually I have All the Land Before Time on VHS.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
Nice.
Now you're talking.
Sign me up.
but I never read the comics. I've only read partially The Last Ronin. My husband's more into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comics.
Gotcha.
I remember the cartoon as a kid. I remember, I think Nickelodeon did a really weird series where they had a female turtle too
Mhm.
at one point.
We
Yeah,
don't talk
so,
about
like,
that.
Okay, okay. But yeah, I've just seen
Venus,
mostly
yeah.
it on screen. That's my experience for the Turtles. But yeah, love this movie. It's great. And I'm with Amateur. It holds up from when I saw it as a
100%.
kid to now, and that's really hard to say with a couple of 90 movies.
No,
So.
you're absolutely right. Zach, what about you, man?
So I'm not that huge of a Turtles fan. I used to.
Well, thanks
My-
for coming, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I honestly like the movies are really good. The first two were really good, and I don't know. What really stuck out for me was the Nickelodeon TMNT show. That
Okay.
cartoon was because they were brutal. They got to like actually use their weapons, and just start murking out all the foot soldier individuals. And I'm like, oh man, this is so cool. And I had all the toys for that. That was really cool. And then the time comes where you're like, oh, maybe they'll update the Turtles and we'll actually get a good live action updated. And then
Wrong.
we got Michael Bay coming in, and you're like, well, I guess we're gonna have to wait another 10, 12 years. But yeah, no, this movie is actually pretty damn good. But I honestly, we need an update. We really do.
I do agree, and we'll talk about that because there is talks of them making The Last Ronin, which would be a more adult version, which I'm down for. So
I want to kind of push back on that. Do we need an update?
do it.
I don't think we need an update because I think that movie captured the essence of the time and the actual Turtles. I
No,
think it
no.
captured
I don't want to
everything.
see
I agree.
CG.
I
No,
agree.
no,
I agree
no,
with
no.
you.
You
But
guys are
I would
wrong.
like to see The Last Ronin. If you're
Yeah,
making like an update,
I'm
like
talking-
newer Turtles
I'm-
material, I would like
Yeah,
to see
no.
The Last Ronin just
Yeah, but
because
I'm
it's my
talking-
favorite turtle.
I'm talking
So
just.
You're talking like a
original Teenage
reboot.
Mutant-
No, I'm not
I'm
talking
no
about reboot.
reboots.
No, I'm not talking about reboot. I'm saying an update. Like, dude, give me characters like Cowboy Bebop, Rocksteady, fucking,
Mondo
what is-
Gecko, let's go.
yeah, like I'm
Yo.
talking about characters that we've
You know.
seen in the books, that we've seen in the cartoon, that are part of the lore itself. Throw those at it, Krang. All those
Usagi.
characters, like, dude, those
Yo.
characters would
Yeah.
be so cool.
Scratch
I'm not
the
like,
cat.
again, I'm dismissing the Michael Bay shit. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool that we actually got to see a Krang live in one of the Turtles movies. It's been how long? But there's potential there. Like, I think it's hard to do
Yeah,
Shredder
Baxter.
sometimes, because Shredder's always his origin's fucked up. Like, his origin is the worst origin, like, out of all the Turtles, out of all the characters, that is part of the Turtle lore, because they keep retconning him the most.
Mm-hmm.
Well, before we jump into
retcon April O'Neil a bunch too. So,
before we
I
jump
wouldn't
too
say
much
it's
into
bad as Shredder,
that, AJ, what about you, man?
How did I get into the Turtles? Man, this
Yes, sir.
movie. So this movie was a
Oh,
part of my
I got a
childhood.
stuffy for you, AJ.
For sure, Nadia. I probably should have stayed off the stream because I'm not a big fan of this movie, like some of y'all.
Oh no.
But
what is happening
nah,
here?
This movie was a part of my life. I've always loved the Turtles, but I didn't care for this movie. But I never really cared for live action versions of animated things. So there was some
Gotcha.
bias there. And I also think, man, these Turtles were just goofy as shit. Like when Gooch invited me on the stream, bro, I thought we was talking about the 2000s CGI TMNT. And then I see the thumbnail. I was like, oh, this puppetry shit that
You're
we're
the
doing.
wrong one. Thanks,
Ouch.
Jay.
Yeah.
Well, it's
No,
nice
no.
knowing you, AJ.
Yeah,
Later.
yeah,
I
thanks
know,
for
Light
letting
I
me
you
know.
on fire, bro.
No, I'm still a Turtle fan though. Does that count? But no, man, this
Still
movie's
counts.
always been
It's
a
still
part of my.
fandom.
It's still a part of my childhood. 1, 2, and 3. I've kind of grown up with them just being on TV at some point. But I really wasn't a super fan of the Turtles. And I mean, of course, we had the toys. Parents were just, oh, it's a turtle doing fighting and shit. So I'm sure my kid will love this. But I really wasn't a big fan until I think the 2003 animated series. So I like the movie. I'm not a fan of all of the Turtles being goofy. I do like that this movie tried to give at least, Raphael like a distinct personality, but I like more of the individualizing the Turtles and making them their own characters, which is why I would disagree with Kayla. I don't want to see The Last Ronin. I love my Michelangelo as the baby brother having fun. I like to see the team. I think that was a depressing ass story with him having to grow up and it's just dark.
It made
Which
sense for his character, though. It made sense that he's the last Ronin, though.
Well,
it
You're
makes
that way.
it makes sense for real world and how we go through real shit.
Mhm.
But as far as escapism, I need my baby brother on this. I want to see them doing extreme sports together in between, kicking ninja ass. Like I need that escapism.
Well, if I
I
remember
don't want
correctly, isn't the Last Ronin based upon the original TMNT
Yes.
comic run?
Absolutely.
And it's
Yeah.
a
Which it was
continuation
very
off of that.
graphic.
Mhm.
Very graphic, very R-rated.
Yeah,
Mostly black
so
and white. None of the turtles really had the colors that you see now. They were all wearing they had red eye mask. And it basically was a superhero parody at first. A lot of it stemmed from being inspired from Daredevil. There's a lot of connections with Daredevil with the
A lot
Ninja
of Frank
Turtles.
Miller.
I can
Yeah,
see that.
So,
I can
and
see
then
that
pretty
now.
much it became such a success in the 80s. They licensed out to make toys, which the toy industry, I think became almost $1 billion revenue for them. I need to look into
Yeah,
the
the
exact
toy industry
numbers.
back then was huge with a lot of the independent stuff because they were expanding so aggressively and they were always looking for, new IPs and, Turtles, regardless if it was kind of started with Eastman and Laird as kind of a spoof, kind of a little bit, not necessarily a joke, but, having fun. And that someone saw it and wanted to make toys out of it. And then it did. And it just blew up overnight. It really did. There's some really good documentaries on YouTube. There's some stuff I think I've seen on Netflix before. that just kind of explains like how quickly that IP took off. And
Yeah.
I remember because I was a kid during that time, and I was exactly that audience that it was getting out to. And as soon as I saw the Turtles, the very first cartoon that came out, I was hooked. I mean, it was me and my brothers. You couldn't keep us away from watching the Turtles. I remember when the movie came out. I mean, we were wanting to go to the theater so bad to be first in line. We had to actually wait a couple months, but finally got to see the movie. And when we did, it was just like, this was an IP that it was a special IP at the right time and place to come out and capture the imagination of the youth, the kids of America, and not only America, but the world at the time.
I don't
And that's
think
something that I talked
because
about.
Crazy how an action figures.
Hold on a second, guys. Look, let's try not to talk over each other. And I'm gonna go let's go with Jay real quick, and then we'll go around because I want you guys all to be able to have your thoughts.
No,
but
I don't think you realize how, because I experienced it. I was in my teens. How fast it happened
you're
overnight.
old, man.
Yeah, I'm
just kidding.
old.
I love you.
But it literally, like, I remember buying the comics and reading them, and then next thing you know, there's a cartoon, and then next thing you know, and like it was literally, like, and I mean literally overnight.
Yeah,
like it was like it happened so fast. I was like, "What the hell just happened here?" I was like, and these are not the same guys that are in the comic. So like it could change dramatically. Like
that's
really
a great
did.
point.
Because these guys were swearing, these guys were drinking. They were like, they all had the same colored headbands. They didn't wear
wish
orange.
we had an adaptation of that.
Yeah, it was completely different from what we like the cartoon and the figures and the movie. Everything did. It was just like it just totally changed like overnight. And I was like I remember just saying, "What the hell just happened?" Like I remember this clear as day. And the like late 80s, I was just like, "Wow." I think this really took off. Like Star Wars took off in the late 70s.
Yeah,
this is like I'd say the same thing. Like it just literally took off the same.
That's a great point.
Same way.
Absolutely.
Did you call your friends on your rotary phone?
Yes.
Go ahead, AJ. You were going to say something.
No, Kayla got in before me. I'll follow up after her.
That'll work. Ladies first.
Oh, no, I was just saying it's crazy because I just looked up the number right now. So it says that the Playmates toys that they licensed the characters to for the line of Turtles, they generated $1.1 billion for Ninja Turtle toys between 1988 and 1992, making them the third best-selling toy figures of ever at the time. And then the action figures, they were either released, because this information isn't specified here. This part here, it's the action figures were promoted and released with the animated series, which was premiered in 1987 and ran for a decade. And then the video game that came out in 1989, the arcade game.
Oh yeah, the arcade game. Such a good game.
I remember the arcade game.
Yeah, we have one at the Salem Willows. That's pretty fun. Yeah. So it's actually like pretty cool. And if you want graphic turtles, I would say Simon Bisley did a great Ninja Turtle series about Raphael. What is it called right now? Body Count. Phenomenal. Yeah. Absolutely phenomenal. Definitely worth taking a look at. It's great shit. So yeah, I could nerd out about this all day. I'm going to shut up now.
Well, what I was going to say was the thing about the Turtles, which I haven't seen from any other franchises, is polarizing, but it's like, man, every generation has their version of the Turtles. And it's like that's appreciated. Like y'all were talking about the Nickelodeon Turtles. So Nickelodeon came out with the first version of the Nickelodeon Turtles. I wasn't a fan of. The story was good, but the animation sucked. Yeah, the second version, Rise of the TMNT, animation was amazing. Like fight choreography was beautiful, but the story sucked. But I'm like, there's so much to appreciate, or at least something to take away from every version of the Turtles. And I'm glad that it continues to go forward. Even if a version is not the one that I want, it still brings another fan into the franchise and keeps it going. So I mean, like the law of averages, shit, if you keep going long enough, eventually we'll get a perfect Turtles that's probably for everybody, maybe, But I do like that this franchise keeps going. I grew up with the Turtles and the Power Rangers, like seeing the crossover that they did a couple of times. It's like, man, we just do not have shows or experiences like that anymore, man. But yeah, I love the Turtles. Probably don't like every version, but it's cool to get in on a conversation with different generations, man, where it's like, okay, well, what do you appreciate about the Turtles and what do I appreciate about the Turtles, and just having that conversation.
Well, let's dive into the actual movie itself. So this movie came out in 1990. When I say independent movie, like it was a low budget movie when it was made. And I want to say that they got away with doing a lot of stuff. And I saw this in one of the documentaries, but they got away with doing a lot of stuff in the movies because they upped the maturity level for all of us that were watching the cartoon at the time, which was much more kid family based, right? A lot more goofy. There was fighting in it, but like the foot soldiers were robots and like all this kind of stuff. And when we actually went and saw the movie, I was a little bit confused why the foot soldiers were humans and why there was like a lot more I don't want to say intense violence, but they upped it up, right? Even though it was a PG movie, like it was a lot more, for a little bit more mature than probably my 8-year-old self was going to see. But there was something that was awesome about that, the direction they took, and they kind of took a sample of the comic, the graphic violence and all that of the comic, and then the kind of kiddie aspect of the cartoon, and meshed it together in such a perfect way. And the story was really good. Like it was just a really good story. Covered family. Absolutely. Had a family aspect to the story itself. You saw the love of the characters, for their master Splinter. Essentially their father. How brothers get along, how they fight, how they defend each other, how they love each other, and then just the overall of just good versus evil. There was something about this movie that stuck with me to this day, and a lot of it has to do with a story, but also the visuals. Sean, I'm just going to throw it to you since we'll go around here. But what was it about this movie that was so good? If you were a Turtles fan, if you knew the comics, if you didn't know the comics, if you knew the cartoon, you know what I'm saying? But what was it that stuck with it? Because anybody my age, our age, around the 40s, late 30s or early 40s, I don't think I've ever talked to somebody that doesn't like this movie, except for AJ.
Right.
Yeah, AJ doesn't count though.
I love things about the movie. I appreciate it.
There you go.
Just give me shit.
I think no, it was cool. It was the fact that like took place in Manhattan. It was my backyard at the time. So my 8 or 9-year-old mindset was like, oh shit, there's real turtles.
Right.
So I would look in the sewer and I would get dirty. But no, it took those comics, my toys, to real life. And I got to experience their journey, seeing it, eating a box of popcorn. It was just real to me. I felt like I knew them. And to some degree, I like to go back and rewatch it just to get that nostalgia. And it's just cool. It just took my imagination to the next level. Just maybe want to create my own characters or what have you. It's just it was like Star Wars for us. Like we talked about the impact of Star Wars. Like we were there from the ground level of this. So this is our generation Star Wars. It was just fucking awesome, man. I don't know why nobody hates, like people hate it. AJ, first time I met you, but man, I wish you loved this movie like I love this movie.
Oh, no.
So much to me.
This movie made a lot of us furries.
Oh,
I love it.
No.
What is happening here?
What?
Oh, wow.
Here's the thing that's the reason why we're saying and we talked a little bit before we went live about how this movie still holds up is because this was before there was a lot of the CGI and a lot of that kind of special effects. They had to rely on the puppet. It's weird to say puppets, but you know what I'm saying, like the costumes, animatronics. It came from Jim Henson.
Yeah,
we were talking about Jim Henson's studio had a hand in making these, and the lifelike aspect of these turtles was just off the charts for me. Like when I first saw it as a kid, it was like seeing, like Sean said, it was almost like seeing a turtle in real life. To seeing them actually depicted the way they were, moving around, fighting, and it still holds up. Like my daughter, who's 5 years old, got into the Turtles, and I was like, oh, cool. I was like, let me show you some stuff. So I sat her down and she watched the first movie. and then we watched the Secret of the Ooze, and she loved it because I could see in her, you're seeing like real turtles. It's not the animated stuff that you're seeing in the Michael Bay stuff. You know, it's like that real physical aspect of the costumes. I think it's one of the reasons why that movie is still so damn good to this day. I mean, what do you guys think?
You're right.
All right,
I agree
Master
with that.
Splinter. I'm sorry. How fucking cute. I'm sorry. I thought
Too
Splinter was so cute. Never before did I ever think like, you know, a giant rat, because my other exposure to like a giant rat was The Princess Bride, and it terrified me.
Well, I mean,
But Splinter was like adorable, and I actually cried. You know what I'm talking about? When I was a kid, I
mean,
cried.
I didn't cry, but yes,
I cried. I was little, and I cried because I thought he was dead for good. So I thought they did such a phenomenal job with everything. And Casey Jones was hot. He was a hottie. He was like dirty sexy.
I can agree with Kayla. Confirmed.
Dirty
Confirmed.
sexy.
I'm not gonna lie. I did want to be Casey when I was younger. Like I wanted to be Raphael because that was my turtle. But when I realized I couldn't actually be a turtle at some point in my life, when I got a little bit older, I was like, I could at least be I could at least be Casey Jones. You know, I grow my hair long, get a hockey mask, you know, go beat some shit out of bullies or something.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I was down for that.
Casey Jones was hot. I'm telling
Well,
you.
I think why this movie did so well is like because it was produced in Golden Harvest Studios, which, if you don't know Golden Harvest Studios, it did all the Bruce Lee films. It did Death Wish. It's known for
I didn't know it
violence.
did Death Wish. Okay.
Oh yeah, they did like a lot of violent films, and they did really well on a cheap budget. So that's I appreciate that, because if someone like, well, we've seen what Paramount did with it.
Right.
I mean, all the turtles look like the Hulk with a little shell on his back.
Yeah, that was just...
I mean, it looks awful. But I mean, for me, like this movie, and I took my cousin to this movie, and I was in Calgary, and I remember like just being amazed by and you guys mentioned it, the costumes, being able to move, like the karate movements, like they were staying true to the characters. Like that's what I loved about this movie. It captured the essence of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and if you can do that for whatever content you're planning, or IP, what you're planning to do, then you got something magical. And what we've lost is that magic with all these movies and TV series that are being put out there. They don't look at the lore, they don't look at any reference, and they push this crap out thinking they're going to make money. And that's what I love about this movie. It was a love note for the people to sit there and go, hey, this is what we've created. Hope you guys, dig it. And I applaud them for it, because they done it. Like they really did a really great job on it.
Do we know how many weeks they were in production for?
Oh, I can't remember. I know it was like relatively a quick shoot from some of the stuff I've seen, but I'm not sure the exact amount of weeks.
And Nadia, you must love it because it's all practical.
You know me, Jay. I absolutely hate fucking CGI. I think CGI should be
overdone.
An assistance in post-production if you can't get it on set. It's even more expensive than practical effects. It's just because we don't want to take the time and put the effort and put the heart back into filmmaking. That's why I'm actually pretty excited for Alien Romulus, because he's like, we did all practical effects where we could. I just read today they had like 9 different puppets for the chest burst scene that is in the movie. So, and it just looks good. Now, I understand there's a need for CGI at some points. And again, I think it should be like a layup, like, oh, we shot this scene, it didn't work out for us. But look at this movie compared to some movies in the last 10 years. It holds up better because of the practical effects.
Okay,
and
Nadia, rebuttal.
Blood.
Quick
okay,
rebuttal.
Here we go. What do you got?
I'm not one of those like, oh, everything needs to be practical. And the reason being, because as I'm watching this movie, I was like, bro, where is the ninjutsu? I'm like, where is that? You just got these dudes, and I think one was even a girl, or it might have been women like in the suits, but just walking around in these bulky ass costumes, like, yeah, New York. And then there was even a scene where dudes running, and the cop was like, that looked like a turtle in a trench coat. It's like, where's the blending into the shadows? Like, where's the ninja like movement? Like the stealth.
Talking about AJ.
AJ, Go
How
back
was
to
it-
your
Turtles
cartoons.
at the
Go back to your
time.
cartoons, AJ.
Look, no. Even though you a big bulky ass turtle, like jump through the rooftop across
It
the
looks way
rooftops.
better than the Michael Bay alien
Yes.
CGI.
Yeah, that
I
was
will-
horrible.
It moved
I will give
way
you
better.
that. I will give you that, but I think Michael Bay fucked up with his designs, like those weird noses that they
Yeah.
had. Like,
Yeah.
look, there was issues besides ninjutsu or stealth in that movie. But it's just like things like that where I'm like, okay, just people running around in a practical suit. Like, sure, maybe modern day you can do it more easily. Have more of the ninja stuff, but. And it's not just the turtles. I mean, even the kids in this movie. That was one of the issues that I had with it. Was the kids were not ninjas necessarily. They were just thugs, just hoodlums, just running around.
That's the whole point, though.
Yeah.
Man, no.
It was a street level movie. Like
I
it
was just saying,
brought
let's
the
get into that
grittiness.
story for a second though. But
Yeah.
that was the point that Shredder and Foot Clan were taking all
AJ,
these
I'm so
kids, these
disappointed.
cast-offs, these runaways, and making an army out of them. And they would be like the foot soldiers going out there and doing petty crime, and then they would eventually learn the art of what is it that they did, the Dragon
The art of
Doji or whatever,
love. Oh.
whatever he called it, and then they would become part of the foot soldiers. Go ahead, Nadia.
I want to add one more thing. The costume design for this movie is fantastic. You
Mhm.
can actually tell people actually looked up the comics and looked into the lore and tried to match it as close as possible instead of just tweaking it and doing their own thing and modernizing it. It looks so good. Even for the foot soldiers, everybody's wardrobe perfect to the character in
Oh
this
yeah, the
movie.
foot
Yeah.
looked awesome
Yeah.
with those
The-
like the
the
metal
prac-
eyepieces and stuff. Were just
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely on that.
The
Go ahead.
practical stuff looked good, except for Shredder. I felt like his costume looked cheap as shit.
Oh my
I
God.
thought
What?
Shredder looked
No,
Can we
I
awesome.
don't-
kick
I
AJ
don't
I
off?
thought
please?
Shredder would look so
I don't
damn
know.
good.
I don't
Dude
know
had
about
the
that.
jagged edge tin can like
I
held
don't
like
know about that, bro. I
Okay.
can tell you, Shredder looked fucking
okay.
amazing.
Yeah, he-
the
he
last point.
awesome.
The last point. We'll get into the movie. We're derailing, but I would say that this movie, even though I have my issues with it, going back to that like magic of the shows that we grew up with, like you watch the Turtles and me and my friends and my brothers and my cousin, like everybody was like, "Ooh, I'm that one. I'm that one." Like if you can't be a turtle, fuck it, I'll be Casey. My
Right.
female cousins were like, "Well, shit, I'll be April." You know what I'm saying? She's doing her thing. And just like with the Rangers, it's like I want to be that character. Every character has something that appealed to somebody, and that's definitely something that you don't get from like current day. So it still hit the mark, with that, making these memorable characters that everybody wanted to be a part of. And I can see how somebody from New York like would look at a sewer and be like, "Oh shit, is there a turtle down there? Like, is he protecting me at night?" I'm from
Shit, I was
Memphis,
doing
so
that in a small town in Nobles, and we didn't even have
I look for
anything except drains,
Pennywise.
Well, yeah, that too, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I want to
That's
add. I want to add to that very quickly for this. Right before you dip into the movie, the Turtles. I would have to put them on an equal standing point to Superman as icons in the industry for pop culture because of the fact that when they came in, not only did they take it by storm, but they also changed the industry completely all over again. Where when the Turtles came in, they implemented a huge possibility where it's not you not only just can make corporate comics, you have a chance to make indie stuff and have that have a possibility of having your own creation succeed as long as you put the effort into it. It's also provided Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird implemented certain things where um when it comes to character creations, where character rights, where Dave Sims, TMNT, all these other Neil Adams have fought for artist rights, owning the IPs and whatnot. So through the years, I mean, dude, the Turtles have changed the game 100%.
and it had people thinking that animals that were walking and talking were kind of hot. Kayla
No,
was Splinter.
AJ. Nobody thought
You
that.
said-
except
Definitely
said
did
me.
not
cute.
think Splinter was hot. That's
Yeah.
insane. I thought Casey Jones was hot. You can speak for yourself, AJ. Although
Okay,
there's no
sure.
wolves.
So
But
this
I do want
Go
to
ahead,
say
Kayla.
it's also a cautionary tale too with what was done with Ninja Turtles. It's definitely a cautionary tale if anyone wants to look into it and about your own IP and things that can go wrong when you turn your IP over. So people should definitely look into that. because that's very interesting, and I'll be here for an hour trying to describe that. And I will say, on account of AJ being here, that Kevin Eastman actually got his first start in comics in a furry magazine.
Oh God.
He drew a cat person.
Look,
I
all I'm
bagged
saying is, there's a
He's
huge fan base.
he
for
did
it.
it. That was his first work before Ninja Turtles. Yes.
Okay, enough of the furry
So-
talk.
Hey,
Damn it.
did anybody else get the soundtrack?
I did not. No.
Dude, that shit was fire. MC Hammer's song on that still gets me pumped up.
What was the one with Vanilla Ice? Go Ninja, go Ninja,
That's,
that
go.
well, yeah,
was
there was
for-
a Vanilla
that was
Ice
for
one and
two.
number 2. Yeah,
Number
I
two,
forgot
yeah.
MC Hammer did one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is what we do. That is
Yep.
fun as fuck.
I like how
Yeah.
everybody mentions 1 and 2, but nobody's talking about 3.
Yeah, that's
Like,
the
nobody-
that's the
We don't
bastard
talk about
child. You know,
I
that we
like
just,
3.
Is
The
that where they
idea
go to
was cool.
Japan?
The idea was cool.
Yes.
The execution was not.
No, but I still like it.
I gotta watch it again.
It's
just
got
to-
its place. I watched it with my daughter because we watched all the Turtles movies, right? You know, so we watched 1 and 2, and then I was like, we can watch number 3. So we put it in, and she liked it, but she has never watched it again. So that tells you something right there. With a 5-year-old, would much rather
It's like-
rather watch the first one and Secret of the Ooze than what was it? It's, something through time or whatever.
Turtles in Time.
Turtles in Time, number 3.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how nobody mentions the third Mummy movie with
Yeah.
Jet Li.
Oh,
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
trash.
Yeah, I wanted that one.
Actually, I just watched it again recently, and while it is still trash, it's fun. It's fun.
It's a
trash.
decent movie, but it's
Yeah.
just there's things that they're obviously
It's the same as Return of the Jedi. No one really talks about Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
I mean, I
It's
love
always
Return of the Jedi.
Oh, I hated Return of the Jedi.
I loved all 3 of the original movies.
If you cut
Yeah.
it down to a 40-minute film, it might be one of the best films ever made, but
I even like the Ewoks. Let's go.
Shout out to you. Hell yeah.
no.
Hell no.
I hate the Ewoks.
When
Loved
the
it.
Ewoks started destroying the Imperial Walkers, I was like fucking checked
brilliant.
out, man. I'm like, the stakes are gone.
the
You
cannabis-
killed it.
Yeah.
We're now
Cannibal-
smashing characters together like little kids on the floor. Ugh.
All right,
That
check
was
this out.
retarded.
Check this out for the Turtles. Getting back to the Turtles, so this movie was made on a budget of $13.5 million and brought in a collectively $200 million in 1990. That is some serious. That's some serious
Saved-
numbers of that
Saved
time.
Miramax, which
Yeah,
was the only
yeah.
studio that signed on for Lord of the Rings. So for that, it has my eternal
That's true.
eternal gratefulness.
Absolutely, they are the reason why Lord of the Rings was made. Confirmed.
In
What
a
was
manner
cool-
of speaking, but
what was cool about this movie is I don't know if it was Nadia, but somebody said that just the care it took for the designs, not only the costumes, but the way they did the city. Like they did it on a lot of they did a lot of physical sets, right? Which we don't see much anymore because everything's CGI now. But
That's why I love the Dungeons and Dragon Among Thieves movie, because it's actual physical sets. They're actually
Yes.
on location. It's not CGI green screen background. Sorry.
I have great respect for movies that have, and shows for that matter, that have massive sets or just built sets. You know, in this movie they built the sewers, they built the rooftops for all those scenes. You know, it gave you a sense that you were in this kind of dirty, grimy aspect of New York City, and you could kind of get into the, you know, the story starts out with the city is just overrun with crime, petty crime, you know, just all over the place. The opening of this movie, I think, is one of the best comic book openings of a movie ever. You know, it dives you in, gives you a little bit, gets you a little bit into the story with what's going on, and it just has that awesome score. If you guys remember the score, which I'm sure you do. It's just- yeah, it's just, you know, as it's all happening, you know, you're seeing these kids, you know, pickpocketing, then you get a little bit of a look at the foot. You get April O'Neil kind of talking and doing her exposition of what's going on, and then it segues right into the scene where she's getting jumped in the alleyways, and boom, then she's saved by the turtles, and you get that iconic, you know, walking through the sewer, and all you see are the shadows on the wall, and they're talking, and they do that jump, and all of a sudden, boom, that turtles title comes, you know, coming in there, and then boom, there they are. I think it's one of the most perfect beginnings to a movie ever, especially as a kid. But even now, as an adult, I will watch it. And maybe it is a little nostalgic, but I'll still watch this. And I'll just be like, man, what a fun opening to a movie. And just to get you excited and boom, put you right into the feels right off the bat.
Yeah, I agree. I love the fact that they use it's sort of like a montage looking at New York, and it all is actual footage of New York, which is great, and you can totally tell because it feels like you're there. But doing that sort of like that sort of city montage with the exposition being done with like a newsreel, that's
Yeah.
something they did a lot in the 80s, and I don't think it ever like became overdone or like cliche, and it works here great, I think, for sure, because it sets up a lot of stuff without throwing it in your face, and it's sort of like showing you how it's happening at the same time, which,
Yeah.
you know.
It's funny because they did that in the comics as well. Like they did it in the Dark Knight
Yep.
Returns. They did it
Mhm.
in the Watchmen. They did it in Spawn with the news update. Like they did a lot of that, and then everyone just got away from it, which is kind of weird. But like you got the feel of the city with those news updates. Like
Yeah.
it sets the tone. Yeah, I would compare the entrance for this movie. It doesn't like Star Wars like that. Like that's number one. Like and then Raiders of the Lost Ark. Those are like iconic intros to those IPs. Turtles for a comic book, it's got to be one or two. Because like they like how true they stayed to the comic and the cartoon. It's definitely like got to be the top two or three for its intro to the movie.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's pretty damn iconic. And what's the line that I think it's Michelangelo. Before you actually see them, he says something like, "That's right, dudes and dudettes. Major League Butt Kicking is back in town," and then boom, bam, right into the movie. Yeah, it was very well done from the writing to the sets to the execution of everything, and just getting into the actual story. I mean, what'd you guys think of the overall plot of the movie? I still think it actually holds up as a fairly good idea for a plot. Like it's not Shakespeare, but it's also not a movie that you, in my opinion, you can go in and say like, oh, this doesn't have any plot. It's all about fighting and taking fart jokes, which I think it's a lot more than that.
It's a good origin story for the Turtles to be on screen at the time when it's being made. There's not a lot of deep background into it. It does it really well with how the pacing of it. Like you're not bored in any scene. The editing's perfect. It cuts it perfectly to each scene. Jumping gives you the origin of the turtles pretty fast, but you have a good concept of it, and all ages can understand this movie and enjoy it too.
Right?
I would compare this movie to Guardians of the Galaxy, where
Yeah,
you're getting a very similar vibe, where you don't have the full depth of the character or what's actually happening, but you're already invested and you're learning as you go. Like you learn about Splinter, you learn about what's Shredder. He's curious, like why do they have these skills? So there's depth there. Like they build that, like they lay everything down and they build on it, which is like you don't see that anymore. You really don't see that anymore. It's everything's just supposed to be assumed nowadays. But yeah, I would say like Guardians of the Galaxy is a prime example of how they took what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles did and put it into their movie. Kind of very similar. There's a parallel there.
It was also interesting, like how they handle the characters, right? So you get this awesome intro, and then the movie slows down for a second. Now we're into kind of the movie, and we're into the characters. And right off the bat, they show that there is a difference between Raphael and his other three brothers. Like he's a little standoffish. He's a little bit dealing with his anger. Splinter has that moment where he's talking about like, I've tried to help the anger inside of you. So they set up stuff right off the bat, character-wise, of what everybody's dealing with, and then there's the mystery of like, who's the Shredder character? Like you said, Jay, why does he, why do the turtles bother him in some way? Like something about the way they fight, like that kind of stuff.
He's second man in charge. Even asks, I forget the guy's name, but he even asks like, why even worried about these turtles? They're gone. And he's like, there's something about their fight style. Like they give you something, right? So we don't see that nowadays, and it's a real shame. Like what this movie does is create, it gives you creativity for kids. Their mind just goes into this world of like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, and because everything's practical. when everything's CG, it kills the creativity in these kids. That's my mindset. But
Yeah, I agree with
You
that.
know
for
what?
sure.
I'm about to watch this movie with my daughter. Like, bet.
I also
Can you
Yeah.
imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine being Shredder and you like, man, this master plan is not being thwarted by cops or the government. Some fucking turtles running
Yeah.
around.
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
And then he finds
It's
out that the
called
turtles
make
are
believe,
actually
AJ.
no, but I
Yeah,
mean it's and then you find out that the turtles were actually the students of in the movie, the rat of Hamato Yoshi. In the cartoon, I think they were the same person, right? Like Hamato
Mhm.
Yoshi turned into
Mhm.
Splinter.
Yeah.
But it's all connected, right? Like, so something that happened years ago in Japan where he takes out his rival, and now fast forward to present day New York 1990, he's got this empire, this crazy, this crime going on, and now he has to worry about that coming back to haunting him in the form of turtles. Now, I don't know if they're even thinking about this or at all, but didn't they touch in one of the interesting things they did in Turtles 3, which we don't like to talk about, but they viewed the turtles as kind of like a form of a demons, right? Or this like bad omen or whatever. You take that back to the first movie. If you look at the symbolism there, that I don't know if they intended to or not, but here Shredder is being haunted with the actions of his past by these turtles that could represent kind of
Kappa.
demons. Yeah, there you go, within that culture. So I don't know if that was intended for that, but when you think about it, that even adds more depth to it, in my opinion.
No,
For
it
sure.
really does.
Yeah.
It's I think definitely like on kappas, which kappas traditionally in Japanese culture, they can kind of go either way, I believe. I could be wrong on that. It's been a while since I looked into that. Although I worked with someone and I edited their comic book and it was all about kappas, and a kappa was the bad character in their comic. I just want to say too, April O'Neil to me was just a super cool character. She wasn't your typical Mary Sue. Like
Great
her
point, Kayla.
strength lied in her power of her mind, in her ability to speak and communicate and to bring the truth to light. So much to the fact that she had lost her job at one point and sacrificed everything just to bring the truth on things, because there were two stories kind of intertwining simultaneously. So where she was involved with the news, it was kind of, I don't know, would you say it's like a political aspect? You have the things going on underground and
You had the kind of
basically
corruption.
corruption. Yeah. Like, so I
Yeah,
don't know
they
what
didn't
you
really
would,
like dive into it as a major part, but they kind of touched on the
'cause
fact
it was
that
for, like,
nothing was
children.
really being done.
Yes.
Yeah, nothing was
Yeah.
really being done by the police or to thwart this crime that was
Crime,
going on.
yeah.
And every time that she would actually try to talk about it, the chief police would shut her down. They killed the
Mhm.
story. So they did kind of touch on that a little bit, So I wonder if they had gone into it a little deeper, if they had the opportunity to, where that would have gone. But yeah, no, I like the character of April. This was back before the whole woke stuff, or
And
like
she
you said,
was a
Mary Sue.
strong
She was just
female
she
character
was a strong female character who was
without having
written
to
very
fight
well.
anything. Like, pretty much, I mean, obviously she did try to defend herself a little bit. And I mean, it was interesting too, because there was Danny, the kid Danny, who a lot of the things centered around, and how he kind of had to change up. So it was interesting.
He was an asshole.
At first.
Yeah, first. But he was like,
well, he sold them out. He
got
told them where they
involved
were.
with the wrong,
Right.
wrong crowd, kind of,
Right, exactly. He was one of the, and
So-
that's kind of the interesting thing about the story, of just how much it touches when you really think about it. It wasn't just the Turtles and Shredder. You had all these secondary characters like Danny, like Casey and April, if you want to say that. But yeah, Danny's really interesting because a lot of things happen because of Danny.
Mm-hmm.
And then he has the big turn at the end, and the reconnection with his father at the end. I don't think a lot of people understand I think the importance of that. The two characters of, I can't remember April's boss's name at offhand, but Danny and his dad, they get together at the end and they have that that mutual respect, that love. Like Danny realizes his life choices, where that could have led, and maybe his father realized, he needs to pay a little bit more attention. I don't know, but there was a very, a heartwarming connection with those two characters at the end. And those are just, B-side characters, I guess you could say, of the entire plot. But that was one of the reasons why I think the story was deep. Like it really covered a lot of things, not just turtles going out and kicking ass.
It has,
And I
Yeah,
think
it
the
it has some
Casey's
genuine
character
heart to it.
development. Yeah, there is
I wish
genuine heart to it.
I wish we
Casey's
spent a little
development
bit
is
more.
cool too. So
I do wish we spent more time with Danny because I feel like yeah, like him with the whole redeeming thing with his dad is great, but I feel like it could have landed a little better if they sort of fleshed Danny out a bit more. Like, yeah, teenage angst. He feels like he needs to act out or whatever. He finds this like literally Pinocchio's fantasy island, like teen
Great
utopia,
point.
Mm.
which
Great point.
is basically like recruitment for this essentially like a violence gang. That whole part is super deep, by the way. I love that aspect about this because like if you're targeting like young teens, if that's your target market, that's exactly the type of messaging you should be going for, the type of storyline you should be going for.
Oh,
like,
hell yeah.
That whole like, we're the cool kids, you should do what we say, peer pressure, blah blah blah, and like showing what that road can lead to, I think is great messaging. But I really wish we spent more time with Danny because that redemption with his dad would have been that much stronger. And I think it's one of the major faults with this film is sort of characterization takes a back seat. Like, I think April gets by far the best character work.
Yes.
She's definitely my favorite character in the movie. Raphael gets a bit, and essentially all the other characters get none. I think Casey gets a little bit, and of course the Rat Master. What the heck is his name? Splinter. I can never remember that.
The Rat Master.
He gets a bit too. That's in my
That is
notes.
awesome.
The Rat Master. They didn't say his name until like halfway through the movie.
yeah, I think Casey's character development is kind of interesting because he's just this vigilante, pretty much.
It's very surface level with him though. Like we do get a little bit.
He's hot
enough, but
Yeah, they never dive into his
Sounds like
backstory, and I
Kayla.
get what you're I never really thought about it until you just brought that up. But we never know why he's out
Why I
fighting
told my
crime. Like,
husband
why
to
did
buy the
why did it? What happened in his life that took him in that direction to become a vigilante?
yeah.
So yeah, I see what you're saying with that for sure. I mean, they definitely could have done a little bit more back story,
Because the
but for
concept
what
for
they
the
had, I
character
thought
is
was pretty
sound.
good. Yeah,
Like the concept for the character is sound because if you have a bunch of turtles running around, right, who aren't human, of course, and Splinter isn't human, and April's a girl, and your target audience is teenage boys, you need a human being in there interacting with them, to sort of connect that sort of like human versus turtle gap, which he would serve like really well. I just think he needed more characterization. We needed to know why. We needed some backstory. He needed to have like a personal relationship with at least one or two turtles. But the thing is, it's impossible to do if none of the turtles have any sort of like unique qualities outside of Raphael.
yeah.
But still,
Well,
great
it's-
So
concept.
did you think that him and Raphael kind of were mirroring each other in an aspect? Like,
A
is
little
that
bit.
kind of what
And
they
I
were
thought-
going for? I felt, at least I felt.
And they sort of
just-
skipped over the potential love
Mhm.
triangle with April, which I appreciate because that could have got
Yeah,
like
that's-
very
yeah.
The Hobbit.
That would have been very weird.
awkward.
I was gonna say it's a testament to me, like how well the movie was done, because you can sit here and say like there are all these things that they could have done better, but you don't really notice it in the movie, like unless you're like really breaking it down and analyzing, right? But when you
Yeah,
sit down and
exactly.
watch the movie, it's not. a
I
glaring
can't help
thing.
it.
No, I get that, and that was great thoughts because I never actually really thought about that before. But just sitting and watching the movie, even though there's this lack of background for certain characters, they just kind of show up, they're part of the movie. It's still so well done that we don't really notice know why Casey does what he does, right?
Mhm.
Or why the motivation for this character is. It's just like, oh, that's really cool. Think
And
about the scene where he shows up at, when he runs into Raphael with taking out those muggers. Casey had some of the coolest lines
Mm-hmm.
in the movie as well, and it's just like this character shows up, a badass character, catchy lines, and it almost kind of you just forget the fact that you don't really know anything about this dude or what his motivations are.
Look, he did, but it took me out of it because I saw a conversation on Twitter about like Harley versus Katana and how Harley wouldn't stand a chance. And I'm like, bro, Casey really just knocked Raphael into a trash can, and he's sitting there. I was like, "Come on, bro, you a ninja? Like, how are you letting this dude get this off?"
Well, then the age is a factor, and the turtles were being told to hone their ninjutsu skills. They were still kind of new to everything. I mean, I don't know if it's really explained as well, or maybe because I'm like an uber turtles nerd, that this is just stuff that I know. I mean, they're like pretty much, they're young teens, where Casey's more of an adult.
And they even say in the beginning of the movie, Leonardo comes in, it's like, we have had our first battle, Master Splinter. So that was the first time they actually had any interaction with any kind of fighting besides training with each other. So that could have been very much like they're not at the peak of their ninja skills, which you see later when they face the Shredder, and the Shredder wipes the floor with all four of them at the same time.
I get that. I think it was more of a physics thing for me while he was swinging that cricket bat and he launched his turtle across the park. Real quick, Gooch. I'm gonna say, and this is kind of like the whole with the modernization thing. It's off topic, but it's on topic as well. The Ninja Turtles Power Ranger crossover comic. Tommy Oliver actually went undercover as a Foot Clan soldier. And I think as far as a modernization, I would like that story for Casey, like to see more of Casey and to see him kind of like go undercover. And, maybe he has like a brother or something that we don't know about that's become a Foot Clan ninja, and how he's trying to, like go in, kind of infiltrate, just something like that. That goes back to the modernization topic, though, of how this movie was, I think it did a good job of, okay, these are the turtles, these are these characters, but okay, now fast forward current day, we need more. We do need
another
thing to keep of that story.
One thing to keep in mind too, and it's something that I never really occurred to me until like I had a co-editor who was like a really big young adult fiction writer, and they're like, you have to keep some of your characters really vague, especially like the ones that seem interesting, because it's going on what Gooch said before. You're trying to inspire creativity in kids, and if you explain every aspect of a character, it leaves nothing to their imagination. And it takes them, they can no longer like associate themselves with the character, like, oh, I'm this one, you're that one kind of thing. You sort of steal that if you flesh out your characters too much. But I really like the idea of Casey having a brother in that, and that's like a means for him to go in and figure it out. It gives him motivation. It helps us learn about the whole process, even though we do learn, I think, adequately how that works.
Well, I totally agree, because like, look at Han Solo. Everyone's favorite character is Han Solo.
Yeah, zero characterization. Where's he from?
Where's he from?
George Lucas doesn't even know.
Yeah,
I mean, there was that Han Solo film.
Yeah, well, but we get a hint
there?
of what Casey Jones was before. He talks about, like, he kind of hints at that he was a pro athlete and he's no longer an athlete. Like it happened like a half a year before everything started happening, right? So like, and Casey Jones always had a mystery to him. So, and they kept that. I think they did a solid job at keeping the essence of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in this. Like, April O'Neil was great. She wasn't your typical like romancing the stone, like just useless female, just falling down over a place and had to be rescued by, Michael Douglas, like she was actually standing up for herself, standing up to Casey Jones, putting the turtles in place when they need to be, doing the motherly figure, but also knowing when to back away, because she knows I don't know how to fight. I'll just hang onto the stick and hope.
Sounds like me.
The best. Yeah. But with Danny was the biggest rat out of all. He was a bigger rat than Splinter. So I mean, with Danny, I didn't like Danny at all. I despised the kid when I watched the movie.
Probably my least favorite character when I was younger.
Yeah,
I also think too, like the age range, what they were aiming for. I'm thinking like the age range they expected people to watch Ninja Turtles, or their prime age group, was probably someplace between like 7 and 13-year-olds. I think that's what they were aiming for. So, I mean,
you have to kind of tailor to that a little bit when you're talking about breaking down story and getting too deep into things.
completely like fleshing characters out and everything. And I agree with what Gooch and Amateur Analyst said about basically like, you know, giving too much information to a child and what it can do to their imagination, because the one thing that separates a child and an adult is our imaginations.
That's a fantastic point that you guys brought up. Nadia brought up the pacing of the movie, of how good the pacing was. And I always remember, I think it was Richard Donner, director Richard Donner said before that when he would be making action movies, that he always tried to make something like every 10 minutes in the movie, something interesting or action oriented, you know, and if you think of a lot of the like pacing in the Lethal Weapon movies or something, very good pacing. Superman, you know, that too, you know, you're never bored. Like something's always kind of happening. The Turtles were like that, right? Like there was a lot of action in the movie, but it wasn't too much to where it was just all action. Like there was a lot of good heart, a lot of good, you know,
90
story.
minutes.
It was 90
An
minutes.
hour and 33. Yep.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I mean,
That's the
sometimes that's. I've kind of, the older I got, I like the longer movies, especially if you're paying $50 to go see a movie. I'm like, I better be watching a 3-hour movie, damn it. But you're right, for like some like entertainment wise, good story, you know, just get to A to B and, you know, have it be entertaining. Hour and 30 minutes is really good. And I thought this movie actually nailed it really well, because you're like action, and then you're some downtime, then there's some interesting action, downtime, boom, 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 through the end of the movie.
I just want to say that both 1 and 2 were about an hour and 30 minutes of the 90-minute sweet spot. The third one was almost 2 hours.
That was the mistake right there.
Yeah,
there was too much. Man. I mean,
yeah.
Besides the changing of the designs of the suits and some of they went a lot more kiddie with that one. Like they, you know, number 1 was by far the most mature of the original 3 movies, and they kind of dumbed it down as they went, because they actually got a pretty good amount of backlash from parents and other groups when the movie came out, because of the amount of violence that was in the movie. And that led into the sequel, where they basically took a lot of the characters' weapons away, and they did a lot more hand-to-hand combat, because they wanted to dumb down the violence that was in the first one.
That's so lame. It's such tame violence. Like there's no blood, there's no dismemberment.
Yeah, but you have to think of 1990 though. Violence back then is different than what we consider violent.
That's true.
Yeah, and they were still fighting the comics code in comics and all this stuff. And there was a lot of
I think it hits because like in the late 80s, early 90s, like New York was going through the drug wars, right?
Oh,
like
God,
there was like everything in the streets, and everyone was afraid because they were told like say no to drugs, right?
They were just coming out of the crack epidemic, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they were just going into the crack epidemic in the
I thought that was
early
80s.
90s.
Okay.
Late 80s, early in New York, it was like rampant, like gang wars and everything. That was just
it was insane.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then like the late 70s, early 80s in New York, it was just coming out of the slums. Like New York was almost it was in so much debt. Like I think it was almost gonna be bankrupt, the New York City. Like you couldn't even go anywhere because there were so many murders and so many it was just a filthy city. So New York
to Giuliani.
Yeah.
Say what you want about the man, he fixed New York,
but we also got our news from the TVs, right? Like there was no internet, and everything on the news you took as like the Bible. Like it was like you took the word for it. Like you were just like, holy shit, this is happening. So whatever they told you was the truth. So there was a lot of fear mongering back then. So kids, like I remember being scared shitless as a kid about some guy in a white van. Like, and if you see a block parent like, run to it, I'm like, I'm not running to some block parent because some guy could just sit there and just put that in his window and then trap me in his house. Like it was that's how it was as kids. Like so,
stranger danger. Yep.
And parents
off topic, but that was the worst idea ever. That block parent shit.
Yes, absolutely.
Operation.
I would never run to a block parent. Yeah, and then but then like. I lost my train of thought, but like you were scared as kids, like you just like, and plus your mom was home, so like your mom was home to like watch the news and always take care of you and hear everything, and so she was scared. So like that movie captured everything that was happening at that time. So I love the movie personally, but
think about Go ahead, Nadia.
It's also rated PG, and you have to think of what
Yes.
PG rating is in 1990 versus now.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, like even PG-13 kind of rides the R line a little bit
Right.
more so than what PG-13 was back in the 1990.
I was gonna say, think of the difference in tones between the first movie and Secret of the Ooze. Because of the backlash, because they were able to kind of lean into what they wanted to do with the movie, because I think they didn't have a lot of the studio overlords over them. They were kind of, from what I remember reading some or watching some documentaries, they were able to kind of do what they wanted to do. And I think that's why they got some of the violence in some of the more mature tones, right? And then when it came out, it became a big success. There was some backlash. They knew they wanted to make a sequel. And if you look at the tone between the two movies, movie one, dark, gritty, dirty, crime-ridden city. Fast forward to Secret of the Ooze, which is supposed to be like a couple weeks later,
Right.
something like that. And the way they did everything, the city is brighter, lots of people happy, no more crime. Like the tones of the movies were completely different. I love Secret of the Ooze still, but number one was just unique within itself, because they were able to really do what they wanted to do before they got the censors in to really be like, let's make it what it is so we can make the most money possible. And I think that's one of the reasons why the first movie has a special place in my heart, because it is made for kids, but it was also something that adults could really enjoy as well, I believe.
It's funny that you say that, because I'm thinking about the second one in Tokar and Razor.
Mm-hmm.
Shredder was just so disappointed. He was like, they're babies. And I'm like, oh shit, well, okay. I guess that's why they did it. But then you fast forward to the Michael Bay movies, and we actually got Bebop and Rocksteady, which, the movies were trash. But I think Bebop and Rocksteady was pretty on point.
They wanted to do Bebop and Rocksteady in the sequel, and I can't remember why they went with Tokar and Razor, but there was a reason why they decided not to do Bebop and Rocksteady. I can't remember why, though.
Yeah, like even as a kid, I was like, I don't know these dudes. Like, where's the Rhino and the Warthog with the Mohawk? Yeah. But I mean, yeah, like the Michael Bay movies sucked, but I think those two characters were on point. But yeah, I just say that because y'all talking about the whole ratings and the I guess the optics of the movies, which I never thought about watching the movies growing up. I just, I'm a kid. I took it for what it was.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I think they made a big mistake rolling back the tone and getting rid of those weapons. I think it took a lot of wind out of the sails. Really, stick to your guns, man. Like, if your movie doesn't, like, even your kids' movie should appeal to adults in some way, because at the end of the day, they have to sit through the damn thing too. And if they don't like it, you're not going to sell them, because newsflash, kids don't have any money. Like,
well, no, I 100% agree.
It says that Bebop and Rocksteady weren't in the movies because Kevin Eastman and Laird refused to have them in.
Oh, okay.
They were stupid and silly, the exact words.
Gotcha. All right.
Wow.
I knew there was a reason. I couldn't remember
out?
what it was.
How'd that turn out with Michael Bay? Huh? How'd that turn out?
Yeah.
Well, I guess they were right. I mean, because as fun as those characters are in the cartoon, I gotta disagree. I was not happy that they were actually in the Michael Bay movies, because they were played up as more as jokes. Say what you want about Tokar and Razor in Secret of the Ooze, being that they were babies, they had a simpleness to them, right? But they were still like very opposing, with their strengths and the danger that they still faced in those fight scenes. So I don't know. I guess I could be either here nor there with it, but it's just interesting to me the difference in tone between the first movie and the second movie. Still really good. I like them both, but the first movie stands alone on this, like the filmmakers and Eastman and Laird, however much of a hand they had in it, they got to do what they wanted to do with that movie, and it really showed compared to anything that came after it.
Mm-hmm. You also get the sense with the first film, especially, that they definitely have something to prove. Like, they need this to work.
Right.
Like, the studio's gonna go out of business if we don't make them some money. And like, I knew that going into this, because I know the history of the Miramax, because I've done like way too much research about Lord of the Rings. But anyway, the amount of product placement that I noticed in this movie is insane. I think it's the
Burger
most
King?
product placement I've ever seen. Yeah, I think Burger King's the first
Oh, you're
one.
right. Hands down.
Just,
Yeah,
like,
there was so
everything,
much.
dude. Like
Yeah.
Bazooka bubble gum, like
Yeah.
Domino's pizza, you know.
Domino's, yep. That
Pepsi.
was one that stood out. Absolutely.
I will
So
say,
now-
rewatching this movie, I really wanted New York pizza.
Oh,
Like, I
Oh,
was like,
dude!
oh, we
And then
have
when you
to order
find out
pizza.
that pizza's not the same, like it was in the movie,
Yeah.
it pisses you off. You're like, "Fuck."
Oh,
Although I will say the best pizza I ever had was in Brooklyn.
New
Hands
Jersey
down.
has the best pizza.
Me too.
I've just never been to
Chicago
New
has
Jersey.
the best
Well, not maybe
pizza,
once,
but I
I
mean,
won't
you all
go
are
there.
allowed to be wrong.
Well, now you got me thinking about it more because Tokar and Razor, comparing them to the turtles here, if they would have been transformed by the ooze, then they should have still been babies when they transformed, and they should have just grown over time.
That's
Whereas,
a good point. Yeah, instead of being
Whereas-
fully grown and yeah.
yeah, and just strong as shit. But
Yep.
you know, I think if you would have took a full grown wolf and a razor shell turtle, snapping turtle.
How did I know you're gonna go wolf?
Here
I'm
we
just
go.
no. Hey, I'm you know, he was a wolf. That was not my doing. I'm just
That's
saying.
That's true.
But now, if you think about it again with this modernization and this fan fiction that I'm coming up with, it would have been like a Planet of the Apes thing, where it's like once Caesar gave them that gas, they were already fully grown. They were just super smart now on top of that. So then you
AJ
could have
hurt
got.
you.
No, hey, I'm coming up with the Turtles fan fiction here. You're giving me ideas. I like it.
And to the credit of the Turtles franchise, that was their goal, at least the writers. So kudos. Get those creative juices flowing, man.
There's an interesting scene in the first movie where was it the second act, I guess you could say, of the movie, when they go to the farmhouse April has after they've
Yeah.
suffered their defeat. And it's the first time in the movie where it slows down for a bit, not to a point where it's boring, right? But this is where the meat of the heart of the movie, I believe, is
Yes.
at that farmhouse. You know, because they're dealing with the loss of Splinter. They don't know if he's alive or dead. They've been beaten. Raphael is hanging on to life, you know, whatever his condition is. And all the characters for the first time have to deal with adversity. And you see how they deal with it. And they focus on Casey and Donatello, Leonardo taking care of Raphael, the interaction between April and Casey, Michelangelo doing his thing. There was a lot of, I thought, really good for a short period of time, a really good character development within the main characters, getting them ready to go back for that third act or the big fight scene at the end.
All focused around April. 'Cause
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
giving the description. She's giving the narrative, right?
True,
She's
that's right. She's doing the narrative again, just like she
Yeah.
did in the beginning of the movie. Yep, absolutely good point.
All the family stuff this movie did well.
Yeah. I mean that scene on the fire or the fire the campfire where Splinter comes out with the projection, you know, he's talking to his sons, and you know, that was actually just very touching. You know, if you watch that, if you watch the movie for what it is, you know, with that scene, you know, like that's the, you know, the Lion King moment, right, with Simba and Mufasa, right? You know, it's just like it's that touching moment of father and sons and the emotion that they are all feeling, and you know, just that hope that they get there at the very end that he is still alive, you know, and he ends it with saying, you know, like, I will always love you, my sons. It's very touching. Like it is absolutely a very, very touching scene, very dramatic scene, and that kicks off everything that we see. Like, so it kind of brings us down slowly, gets us all in the feels, very drama moment there, and then that just propels us for the rest of the movie, and we just take off from there. But I think that scene within that story is just maybe underrated when you talk about the story overall. You know, when you think of the movie being this fun action movie, that 20 minutes you get of just really good character beats, I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely does what an Act 2 should, for sure. Gives you room. It gives you some time to live with your characters for a bit before, you know, the story hits its climax and concludes. You need something to latch onto. You need something to resolve, and I think they give us a lot of that there. You know, we get like a bit more of like each of their individual skills more than we did before. You know, like Casey can work on the engine. I know that doesn't pay off later, but you know, just as an example.
Right. No, for sure.
Not everything has to pay off, but
well, I mean,
yeah.
you saw the friendship, especially between Donatello and Casey, and you know, shout out to Corey Feldman, who I thought was the perfect Donatello voice. I'm glad he came back in the third movie. whoever did the voice for the second movie, it was a travesty for Donatello. But the scenes between those two characters, I thought were probably some of my favorite. Of just, whatever the situation they're dealing with the aspect that they're in with the best that they can do. They're fixing up a truck, and they're going back and forth. The insult game that they play with each other, doing the ABCs, just going back and forth. Just it's some good stuff, good fun writing. There was everything about those scenes, including the scene with Raphael and Leonardo kind of squashing their beef. Was very good. It's one of my favorite scenes. When I was a kid, I just wanted the action, right? I love the movie in general, but I just wanted the fight scenes. The older I got, the more I appreciated scenes like that in the movie because of the way it just developed the characters and gave us a second to be like, this is who they really are in different aspects.
Feldman didn't do the second film because he had a drug charge December 1990.
Oh, is that what it was?
That's not surprising.
Damn it, man. Come on.
Yeah. They wanted to keep their distance, but they came back to him. And
that's probably a good idea. I mean, yeah, he came back for the least, favorite of the ones, but, it was good to have him back voice wise. Because I can't think of Donatello with a different voice than Feldman. I just can't.
Well, on IMDb, it says the first movie was this guy named Leif Tilden, who's a location scout, which I find kind of interesting.
What was that? I had to mute real quick.
He could be the person in the suit, but not necessarily
right.
the voice.
Right,
yeah.
not the voice actor. Oh, I see.
Yeah, because the voice actors were all different than the guys that were actually in the suit. And in fact, the guy that played Kino wasn't he Michelangelo or Leonardo? He was the Donatello fight double. Because you had the guys that acted, you had the guys that did the fight choreography, and then you had the voice actors. So each character had
Corey Feldman was the voice actor. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so each character had 3 different actors that, and the stunts and all that kind of stuff. So
Mark Casso is the one that did Donatello because he followed me on Instagram after seeing my Ninja Turtles pick.
Oh, nice.
All I know is fighting in the suit.
It says Donatello was Leafy Tilden in the suit.
Leif Tilden, yeah.
Who played
for the stunt stuff, it was Mark Casso. He was the gymnast.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Can you imagine fighting in those suits?
It must
You know how they must have smelled? Like what they were made out of?
Oh,
that's why they're all molded and scary looking now. I'm telling you, if you look up pictures, you'll be horrified.
It's bringing me back to Walking Dead days when smelling the latex for all those. Oh, I
bet.
Yeah.
Imagine working on Helm's Deep for Lord of the Rings. Thousands of extras in latex every day.
I'll tell you what, though. If I ever got an opportunity to get into not the original, but a remake of the original Turtles costume for a day and walk around and do a scene, I'd be all about it. That'd be fun as hell.
You need to put little air vents.
You wanted to be a turtle.
That's living out my child fantasy right there. I still to this day want to try to find the best kind of cosplay costumes you can buy out there, and just not to go anywhere, just to wear it around the house. It'd be fun, just for a day. I just put it on. I'll be Raphael, That'd be a blast. We got Maromi in the house. Good to see you.
I thought, honestly, I thought you were going to be playing clips of the TMNT movie as we were talking about.
I'm always worried about the copyright stuff.
I see. Yeah.
When it comes to that,
if you EFAP it, they won't copyright you.
Are you sure?
Yeah, they can't. Yeah. They can't copyright for anything less than 8 seconds, regardless of what it is. Music is like 3 seconds. It's stupid, but
okay.
Video. It has to. There's a lot of rules and they're weird, but if you're under 8 seconds, you're usually fine.
Okay.
They'd have to come in and manually claim it otherwise.
Yeah.
Hail the Lore says, Joe, will you be selling Reaper Destroyer comics as Raphael? I should. That would be the way to go. Dress up like Raphael and be like, hey, check out this comic. That's a great idea. I'm going to do that. I got to find a costume first, though.
Oh, God.
No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it now. That's my life goal. I made a decision. We're gonna live out this fantasy finally.
I dressed my dogs up as turtles for Halloween, and then my cat was Shredder. So
nice, I love it.
That makes sense.
Master Dan's in the house. Good to see you, brother.
Joe, you need that. Where's the Brooklyn accent, man? You too chill.
I can't
I
do a
don't
Brooklyn
think
accent.
I don't think Sean could. I bet.
Sean, can you
What?
do a Brooklyn accent?
I could do a quasi Bronx one, but not Brooklyn. That's a little too thick.
I'm walking here.
Yeah,
Fuck out of my way.
I'm
I
walking
just can't
here.
pull it off.
I'm from the South, so I don't really know the difference y'all talking about.
Well, we've been talking for about an hour and 37. We're probably gonna wrap this up right around 10. Just going around though. I mean, final
10.
thoughts
Oh, yeah.
about the movie in general, and then I want to dive real quick, if we can do it quickly. Speculate a little bit about The Last Ronin. Sean, last
Yes.
thoughts on the movie.
Classic. Perfect.
Oh, I like it.
I can enjoy it from an 8-year-old's perspective and a 42-year-old man's perspective. It's
Facts.
chef's kiss.
I love it. Gooch.
Yeah, I agree with Sean. It's just nostalgia. It's just brings that street level grittiness to it. You don't see that in movies anymore. The practical effects, I love. I wish we had more of that. I piggyback what Nadia said. I'm really excited for Alien Romulus.
Yep.
And even Hellboy, with a lot of the practical stuff, the new Hellboy out there,
yeah, reading more into that. Yeah.
he even though like people don't like the way he is as Hellboy, the main actor there, he does capture that Magnola Hellboy look a little bit. So
Yeah, true.
I'm kind of digging it a lot. So yeah, for this, like, if you're talking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like a movie, I always think of that one. I always think of that one because it just captures everything for that time, for the characters. It just captures it perfectly for me. So it's a good. If we're gonna rate it, I would probably give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, it was a good rating. Hell yeah. Queen Kayla Adrienne.
It's just Kayla when I'm here.
Well, you
But
got your name up there. It's
I
what
know,
your
I'm
name is.
saying- well, I know. I haven't changed it. But yeah, I love this movie. It's one of my childhood favorites, and it's definitely a movie that if I'm ever blessed to have children, I would definitely show my children in the future because I think it will hold up. And I think it's a classic. And, you know, I don't think when people are thinking of comic book movies that people mention this enough because this is one of the best comic book movies, in my opinion. So, yeah.
What would you rate it?
What would I rate it?
Yeah.
If it's like off of nostalgia, I would rate it a 10. But if it's off of like the reality, me as an adult, what I look for with storytelling, I would probably rate it like a 6.57 in all honesty, because there are certain things in which the characters would need to be fleshed out. So, yeah.
Sean, before we jump to amateur, what was your rating that you would give it?
Ooh. Like the song from the soundtrack, a 9.95.
All right.
Stick
All right. I like it. All right, amateur.
Oh,
What are your overall thoughts on it?
Yeah, so I think I saw parts of it as a young lad, you know, just older kids watching it in the background and whatever, you know. So basically watch it for the first time today. So zero nostalgia factor for me on this one. There's a lot of things I like about it. Like the animatronics are really good. The costumes are just, you know, top notch. All of that's just like phenomenal. The way that they can move in those costumes is really good. And I don't think anyone's mentioned yet, but the low lighting cinematography that they did for the majority of the shoot is just expertly done. If you've ever tried to film at night, it's like super duper hard. And this is done, you know, before the digital revolution. So whoever's behind the camera knows exactly what they're doing, right?
Nice.
And that needs to be said for sure. It's very much of its time, you know. It teleports you to the 90s when you watch it, which is great. It's got something for adults and kids. Basically, my only gripes are like it gets really, really goofy in places, which I mean, I get that that's sort of what the Turtles are. As like an outsider normie, it can kind of be a bit off-putting. And the other thing is just, a general lack of characterization. I think they just went a little bit too light on it. I'm not sure how much of that came down to its like very shoestring budget. I was actually very surprised to see the budget was so low.
Yeah.
And I have to give it more credit because, like, man, I couldn't make this movie for 13 million.
Yeah, that's
an
pretty
insanely
incredible.
low budget. You can barely get the equipment for a film for that, let alone cast, crew, getting permits to film in New York City. Like, come on. I think I got to give it like a 6.5 though, because there's just some things that it fumbles, I think, and it just. I think if you just made slight adjustments here and there, it could easily be like a 9, but I have to keep it at like a 6.5, 7, somewhere around there.
That's
Nice.
a way higher than our last Demon Slayer rating. So
Oh my god, yeah, that 3 I dropped on that piece of shit. Dude, you can't pull that bullshit with me. I don't like that.
Nadia, what about you? Yes.
I would probably give this a 9 out of 10, maybe even a 10 out of 10, because it has. So, like, when I say 10 out of 10 movie, I have different categories for 10 out of 10s. Obviously, like Godfather's a 10 out of 10, right? Just in production. This is a 10 out of 10 to me because it has rewatchability. It hits nostalgia without like just jingling it in your face. And it's just a fun movie for all ages. And I'm with Kayla. Like, if I'm blessed with children, this is one of them that I'll definitely be putting on screen for them. But yeah, I don't know. I just really like this movie. I'll go back and watch it periodically throughout the year. Just like throw it on in the background while I'm doing something. This and Mortal Kombat. Yeah, both of them. I would just throw it on. It's just, they're just
amazing.
fun movies. They're just fun movies. So, and I like that there's a lot of heart put into it with the costume designs, practical effects, no CGI. So,
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Zach.
It's a mix. I'd say overall I give the movie like I give it a 7. Because I can watch that over and over again and not get tired of it. There is some jokes with it that hold. It is, like I said, it does need a revitalized update using different characters and whatnot. That I would love to see. And I mean, dude, even imagine seeing a Turtles movie where they go off the original Turtles story, where they were like super dark. I mean, look at all the films coming out: Deadpool, Logan, Venom, Morbius. As bad as some of them are, and as good as the others, it's opened up a doorway for some of these the possibilities for these characters, how they were in the beginning, to actually be told. So I'd love to see something like that. This is how far I got into the drawing. You can full screen me. I'm not so far into it, but it will be done late tonight.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
So I'm working
That's
on.
looking good, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna be finishing it up tonight.
Awesome.
Yeah, you can definitely tell the
Mikey.
turtle on the right's got some more detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing a good job on that. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I'm just
awesome, man.
chiseling away. It will be done tonight, and I'll post it for you guys tomorrow.
Sweet.
What about you, AJ?
Oh man, this movie's getting a 6 for me, man.
You don't
It
like
was-
fun. I get it.
It was cool. My future children, sure, I'll show them these movies, but I'm making sure to show them the 2003 series. I love being a turtle. They gotta get that,
It's a good
man.
series.
It was amazing. Again, it didn't lean into the ninjutsu for me. It was more of like the antics, the comedy. Hey, we turtles from Brooklyn or whatever the fuck, New York. But I need to see more stealth, man, more silhouettes, more crouching from the turtles. Like I just saw humans walking around upright with suits. They didn't really what I want to say, taking me out of the real world. They didn't really put me into the turtle world. I think it still holds up though, most definitely. I don't know, man. That's all I got. This movie really only made Raphael the distinct personality. and I want to see personality from all of the turtles. I know the original had all of them gritty with the red headbands, and they all were just like sick, like, yeah, let's cut this dude's head off. But nah, man, make it distinct. Switch them up. Like, make me and my friends, my brothers, want to be different turtles. But the movie was fun, and I'll still watch the second one and the third one. So it was cool. It's a 6 for me.
I think for me, I'm kind of with Nadia. I'm going 10, just because the way I rate movies is how fun are movies and how long do they stick with you. In this movie I saw when I was 8 years old, and here I am 42 years old, and I still enjoy watching it, and I get new stuff out of it, that I didn't get when I was younger. We talked a little bit about some of the heart that's in the movie that I might not have caught the first time around, because I was just interested in seeing turtles for the first time and seeing them fight bad guys and all that stuff. But I really loved the story. I thought the story was very well done for the 1990s on a small, low budget for an hour and a half movie. I thought was done really well. I thought the fight scenes were fantastic, especially when you're talking about guys in costumes. The agility that they showed in those costumes and the things that they did in this movie, somersaults and jumping around and roundhouse kicks and all this stuff, very impressive for guys in a bulky silicone costume. So shout out to that in the production, Jim Henson and his staff, making just turtles come to life for the first time. I'm big on nostalgia. This remains probably one of my favorite movies of all time, and probably always will. And that I rank stuff on the way that makes me feel, not necessarily how well it was written or this or that. I think it's a great movie for kids and for adults. I get to experience that now with my 5-year-old daughter, getting into the movies and liking them. So that's really fun, and seeing her experience what I experienced at the same time. So yeah, I think 10 out of 10. I think it was great. I love this movie, and yeah, everybody go and check it out if you like the Turtles. Skip the Michael Bay stuff. Go back to the original. That's what I got to say.
You don't want to see them rapping in an elevator?
Yeah, no, I'm all good on that. I'm all good on that. Before we get out of here with the last 10 minutes, real quick, let's go around just discuss it. They did talk about doing live action R-rated Last Ronin movie. Now, my thoughts on this is, I'm going to kind of echo Nadia. I want to see them go back to practical effects. Doesn't have to be everything, but I'd like to see them go back to a little bit more of a realistic turtle effects, and then put CGI in where you need CGI in to fill in the gaps and make it look better. But I'm tired of the CGI turtles. I'm done with it. Like, if you're going to make it dark, you can make it gritty, bring it back to ground level, give it the tone of the first movie, but then up the maturity, aspect. Give me a feel like Netflix's Daredevil, right? Raw, gritty, street level, but turtles, practical effect, give it a good budget, but make it look like that. And yeah, cover that Last Ronin story, because I think it's a fantastic story. And you could actually, if they're smart, they could tie it into the original movies. They really could. This could be like Turtles 4 if they really wanted to do it and just kind of reference it in a certain way. They exist in the same world. They don't have to be a direct tie-in. But I think it could be a fantastic movie based on the comics, which I thought was real fun. But I would like to see them do another Turtles movie, just a plain old regular kind of Turtles movies for kids going forward. It's not Michael Bay. But what do you guys think about the possibility of the Last Ronin?
I think we'll find out more this weekend with San Diego. I know I've seen some like blurbs like here and there about maybe some announcements towards it. So I'm just waiting for the end of the weekend to find out if that's going to happen or not. So
they either have to do live action and really hone in on practical effects in the story. Don't change anything. Just adapt it to screen, or adult animation. That
would be cool too.
They could do a lot with that. Way more too. They could even split it into seasons too. They could really do something if they did animation. But if they're going to do a movie, they really need to hone in on doing some practical effects.
How jarring would that be, though, to go from 4 turtles to now 1? and all of his brothers are dead. Like that's a
I don't think
story.
so. I don't think it would be
Spoilers.
that I don't. Yeah, spoilers. I don't think it would be that jarring because you have enough in the backstory of how the turtles died to have the characters all have a decent amount of screen time. You know, even though Raphael, Leonardo, and Donatello are dead, and Splinter and Casey and all them, you can go back and show that how it all happened, how they died. Like doing like the I don't want
I
to
get
say
that.
Tarantino, but you're going back in flashbacks as you're going through this one
flashback, yeah.
character. I think you could do it, and it wouldn't be just like, yeah, you're right. In the main timeline, one turtle, but viewing wise, we still get to see all the turtles, and maybe you get to see how the world went to crap and why they are where they're at now.
And I mean, I think it can be done with practical effects. I mean, when I look at like what they did with the Dark Crystal series on Netflix, which they did use a lot of like puppetry and some practical effects on it, and it was great, even though I really enjoyed it and a lot of people didn't. I think it is possible. So, especially nowadays.
It all depends on who's producing it, who's directing it, who's writing it. So who's producing the
who's
film?
writing it is a big
Yeah,
for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point.
So first of all, who's producing this film? Like, what's the production studio doing it?
Yeah, I'm not
Because
sure.
if it's Disney, we know where they're going to go. If it's
I hope it's not
Amazon, if it's Amazon, we know where they're going to go.
Yes, female turtle back.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah. If it's a certain writer, we know how it's going to go. So like, it all depends on that. It's really I want to see people that actually know what they're doing. Like Beau DeMaio, we always bring this up. He went against the grain and brought something to us that we desperately wanted, and we love it. Like, why are they so against it? Why are they so against, actually using references in the lore of whatever IP you're doing?
Yeah.
Like it's and people are onto it now, and they still are trying to force this shit down our throats. So that's what I'm leery of. Like any movie, like even Wolverine Deadpool this weekend, I was just like, I was holding my breath because I was like, this is better be, at least entertaining. It was entertaining.
Yeah.
It was very entertaining. But the story, I'm sorry, it was terrible. But it was like but it was very, very entertaining, and the pacing for that movie was done extremely well. So
yeah,
it all depends.
I'm with you, Gooch, on it. I really enjoyed it. I really don't think either Deadpool's really had a deep story, but that's
no.
I was just going to say that it's not really a movie that's got
the original. The first one was done really well. The story was great. The second one was garbage, horrible writing. Third one was even worse. It just.
But it was fun. It's a fun.
It was
movie
fun.
To go
it
to
was.
The theater.
That's what
I
it was.
saw it in 4DX where they moved your seats and sprayed you with water and stuff.
Oh.
But I would say, I do want to say, I don't think I see everybody going, Marvel's back. I don't think Marvel's back.
No.
But this is, to me, it was more focused on Fox's properties moving over and stuff. I don't think this is gonna save Marvel or have a new direction for Marvel. I think this was just luck of the draw for them. And I think we all just been craving nostalgia and craving the first 10 years so much that anything would do for us.
It gives false hope. That's what that does.
Yeah. Yeah. I still think the MCU is dead.
Yeah, and that's it's remained to be seen if they can come back or not. I like to just enjoy things that are good. Much like the Turtles, I thought Deadpool was just fine. It was just fun. And there's a lot of times where I just want mindless fun entertainment. Like I don't always have to have the greatest story or cinematography in the world. Just give me Wolverine and Deadpool going through and killing the shit out of a ton of people. And just
I'm
bloody
going back
awesome
to watch
scenes.
It. Yeah, I'm going back to watch it because it's extremely entertaining. It's
like No Way Home for me. It's pacing. It just tugs on the nerd heartstrings just good enough, and it doesn't overdo with the cameos, and it doesn't. But I will say, oh well, never mind. I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
Right? Yeah. No, if you haven't seen it, But because I could definitely talk about that movie because Sean and I geeked out about it the other day. When I
have to talk about one particular part of it, but I cannot because it will spoil a cameo. So I will wait till backstage.
That's true. We had enough spoilers over the last couple days of people just putting stuff out there, which I was not happy about. But no, I do think that The Last Ronin could be really fun if they do it correctly, and like Jay said, like that's a really good point. Who's writing it, who's directing it, what studio's putting it out, could make it be a hit or a dud. So I'm, fingers crossed. We'll see what happens with that. Sir Angus said something that where are you at? That's the wrong one. Keanu Reeves was one of the 47 Turtles because of 47 or because of 47 Ronin. Is that what you're
47
saying?
Ronin.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get you on that.
I think as far as The Last Ronin, and this is what I mean with the Turtles, like you can have the best of both worlds. I think even though I want to see all four, you can give me that in a flashback, but then give what some of you guys want and what the original creators want with their dark story, with The Last Ronin turtle. And I'd be okay with that. Yeah, it's just director, writer, that's going to be big factors in the overall product, of course. But I think you can give people the best of both worlds. It's just going to be depressing as shit if I go from a happy memory to current day and see where this dude is at now.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I think that if they're doing The Last Ronin, it's going to be a depressing movie because that's the tone of it. Which is why I think you make it R-rated movie, because right now R-rated comic book movies are the thing, right? So dive into it with the Turtles. Why not? See what it does. I would like to see them also make separate of that a new Turtles movie that is geared more towards the PG-13 realm and diving more into the characters and the comic books and the lore and all that kind of stuff. So I think hopefully they're going to do that, going forward, because why not? Like what's to really stop you from doing a movie for adults and a movie for kids? I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, and I hope they go that direction in the future.
Yeah, and again, kind of off topic with this one, but I think that's been my complaint about like a Pokemon, where it's like, I know you're geared towards children, okay, but think of the older fan base who's been watching this shit for 10 plus years now,
right?
And give us a story, but make sure that they are separate, so you're not tainting one of the other, but just appeal to the massive fan base that you've cultivated.
I think they did that with Detective Pikachu, though. That was pretty good for all age range, for both adults who've been a big fan of the IP to children. Like,
no comment, Nadia.
Another Ryan Reynolds.
I have not seen that. I have not seen that.
I haven't seen it either. I heard good things.
Paramount is doing the movie.
Last Ronin.
It's a dead on arrival.
Maybe not.
Paramount, I was just gonna say I don't know too much about Paramount's. Yeah, Paramount's.
They messed up The Stand. I'm out. I'll never forgive them for that.
It's done by Walter Hamada, who did Boy Kills World. So.
Oh, that fucking movie! That movie's garbage too.
Yep.
Well, just keep in mind, what I would judge on directors, and not necessarily because directors, if you're good, you can do many different tones of movies. So you could make a movie like Ronin and completely shock people. What I would be more worried about is the writing and who's producing it. Like, are they going to try to put some kind of like what they did with the newest cartoon, right? The whatever Seth Rogen's. Wait, not Seth Rogen. Was it Seth Rogen?
Yeah. And anything Seth Rogen touches.
Yeah. Like what they did with that, right? That's what I would be worried. Not so much, what a director has done in the past. Because we've seen movies before where, a director that's done a movie that maybe wasn't that great actually does a good version of a movie, So it's more or less like, are they going to put modern day stuff into it, or are they going to try to be true to the characters like they were in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie? That will be remain to be seen, so who knows on that, but fingers crossed on that for sure.
Speaking of directors, and I'll talk about this movie, I don't want to say I hate Zack Snyder. I don't care for him, but I like a lot of the stuff that he's done. The Guardians of Gahul, the Owls movie, that was a kid's book, and that movie was fantastic, and it had a darker tone, but it still had a childlike feel to it. It was just a mature kid story. So I would kind of want to see a Zack Snyder Turtles movie.
No.
So much slow mo.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna side with AJ on this because I actually do like Zack Snyder, so I would be interested.
Oh my!
Visually, I like
visually. Come on, ninjutsu.
50-50 on Snyder.
Slow-mo?
It depends on the IP. Like his
I
Watchmen.
love slow mo.
Fantastic.
You know.
Yeah.
Oh,
He didn't.
John
he
Woo,
had nothing
baby.
to do with
Yo.
creatively on Watchmen, so
Well,
all
maybe
he did was turn the camera on and then turn it off again.
Yeah, if he's just directing, if he's put on a leash, then that's fine. But if you're letting him do everything, like God bless us all. Jeez,
He can't write to save his life.
no.
Oh, I tried watching Rebel Moon and I couldn't get past the first like 20 minutes. And then I rewatched the first 20 minutes, realizing if he had just cut down all the slow motions, that scene could have been cut down to maybe about 5 minutes or so if he stopped like every few minutes and just giving us slow motion.
Yeah, you got to use it sparingly. Like I love slow motion, but it definitely has to be used sparingly. I agree with you on that one.
He has some amazing slow motion. Yeah, he has some amazing slow mo in 300, but like some of the scenes are just like, why is this slow mo? Like the horses galloping over the hill for half an hour. Like, come on, dude, let's get on with it.
Yeah,
but the Leonidas throwing the dude over his back with his shield, it's like that's amazing.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, Zach was showing off of what he was drawing. And it made me. I forgot that I've drawn a couple turtle stuff before, and I forgot this is actually one of my favorite ones I've ever done in the past.
Wow! Holy shit!
This is I would say this is still one of my favorite drawings. And colored by Jeremy Caldwell, which I gotta give him a shout out. I'm not sure what he's doing these days, but he absolutely killed it on the colors here. But yeah, this is one of I keep forgetting I drew this, but this is one of my favorite all-time Turtles stuff that I've done.
I don't think I've ever seen Rain interaction that convincing.
Yeah,
that's like extremely well done.
So you're telling us they should hire you to be on set for the last Ronin?
I'd be all about it, right? Yeah. I would do it.
Joe, before I knew about you, man, hell, the Lord would come in my chat and he would shield for your book, Reaper Destroyed, and it's it's definitely on my list. But I didn't know you were an artist as well. I thought you were just a writer.
Oh no, yeah, I'm the artist writer of the book. Yeah.
Oh, that's dope, man. You're inspiring. Cause
thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
I feel like I'm gonna have to be writer and artist for my book as well. And it's cool to meet more of you guys. Because there's a level of art that I have, and even Zach, like on the panel right now. But then when you get into like comic art, like a lot of people don't realize that there's a difference between like just some cover work and then actual interior. And
right, absolutely,
yeah, man. So I'd love to pick your brain and get your thoughts on some stuff, man. But yeah, this looks dope.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you, I appreciate it. I always wanted to like make prints, but like I don't own the characters, so I never did. But
come on,
well, like I don't want to get sued.
They ain't gonna sue you.
Yeah,
can't get sued unless you sell it for money.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
it could be you like, hey, buy this other print, get one free. Wink, like
no, you just have a donation bin and you give them one.
That's not a bad idea.
I sold prints of like characters from Marvel and DC.
Why would you say that live on stream?
Come at me,
bro.
Your channel's some money, pretty big. I would share that shit.
It's a good point. Yeah. You
come at me for that $20. Come get that $20 back.
Yeah,
before we get out of here, we go around the panel here and just tell us where you guys are going to be, where we can follow you at. I've got links to social medias and stuff down below in the description. But Sean, where are you going to be at next, and where can we follow you?
Sean Ahrendt across the board on all social media. Monday, Spawn Show with you, Jay, Zach, and then Akba later on with Kayla. Monday night. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's on my Monday.
I like it. Nadia.
I've been off YouTube because I've been sick with COVID, so I am back this week. I will have a Horror Tuesday episode dropped on Tuesday where I cover all news in the horror genre from all media. So hopefully there'll be some cool news from Comic-Con, which I saw coming out. this coming Sunday, I'm with Kayla. We are doing the House of Dragon stream. We will go live right after the episode. Wednesday, I should be back on Zach's channel. Tuesday, I'm on Gooch with Demon Slayer. Friday, I'm with Miss Sassy Sasquatch for Truly Female Perspective. And I'm trying to have an Aliens watch party this coming Saturday because I've never seen it.
Oh, really?
So,
Wow.
yeah, I just saw the
Nice.
first one. Just saw Alien, which, by the way, is probably the most beautiful film I've ever seen
Oh,
because of the
fantastic
production
cinema.
design for
Hell yeah.
it. Oh, it's
I
just
knew
a
you would like
French
that.
kiss. Oh, so I'm
If
going
your
to see the
favorite-
second one.
Aliens is quite a bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
great.
told
It's great.
It's a
Don't
little
get
bit
me
more
wrong.
action packed.
Yeah, it's all action. It goes from horror movie to action sci-fi movie, which
Yeah.
is fine. But you got to go into it thinking that, and not thinking like the sequel to Alien. Aliens is almost its own separate thing, but it's still a fantastic movie. Set designs, all that stuff is great. Classic.
And I have a fear of aliens, like a legit fear of
Oh.
little gray men, like very scared of space and all
I'd
this
rather
stuff.
deal with
so-
little gray men than xenomorphs. Yeah,
Wait,
personally.
what?
Yeah, like I just am terrified of all kinds. So this has been a very good, interesting experience to lead up to Alien Romulus, which I will be seeing in theaters. So just got my tickets today for it. So
Nice.
You don't want to get probed to Nadia and see what that alien mouth do?
as long as it belongs to my husband, sure.
Oh,
Oh,
all right.
oh.
Yeah, got a little inside information there. Zach, what about you, brother?
You're gonna find me on Jay's show Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'm gonna be on your show Monday. There's gonna be a special drawing that the people have voted for last week.
Yes.
I'm gonna be working on I'm currently working on something special that will be shown on the first. The reason why I'm a little behind on some of the art drawings, like the Demon Slayer one's not fully inked, but it's pencils, is because I've been trying to shift my attention to get that thing done. It's going to be worth it. And yeah, I mean, I'm gonna finish up the Turtles tonight, so you guys will have the drawing tomorrow. And I'm honestly, dude, I'm gonna be drawing all night. Like, I ain't getting no sleep.
I mean, it does sound kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. But I gotta work
Kay-
tomorrow, so
Oh well, yeah, then maybe not.
Yeah.
Kayla, what about you?
I'm gonna be anywhere, everywhere, all at once. So yeah, you guys pretty much listed off where I'll be. I'll be wherever I'm invited, and I want to come on and talk, pretty much. So that's how that goes.
Awesome.
I mean, that's how I
I like
roll.
it. I like it.
So.
Amateur analyst.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna be on Cannoli stream on Monday for the Iron Giant. If I'm not, I'm gonna be very mad.
yes.
That's like literally
Love
my
that
favorite
movie.
movie ever.
That's
Yeah,
the
such a
following
good-
Monday
such a
because
good
I'm
movie.
on for Unforgiven this Monday. Sorry, Joe. I'm on. It's the 29th.
Is it the? Oh, okay.
Unforgiven, yeah.
Okay.
So you're not
so
gonna
I'm
be
not
on
this Monday.
The small
No. No.
But I
This
am
guy.
going to
This
be
guy.
on the. Is it this Wednesday? We are doing. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember now. Anyway,
This Wednesday's Titan AE. Yes.
Yes, Titan
That
AE.
was like a movie.
Another
That was
like
good for
super favorite
Yeah.
of mine,
Mhm.
and then back on Thursday for Demon Slayer, and I think that's it. You can find me on YouTube at Amateur Analyst, and I'm also on Rumble, which I have a pretty extensive Top Gun Maverick video that I'm very proud of. So go check that out.
Nice. Hell yeah. AJ, what about you, brother?
I was distracted by this private chat. I will be on my channel. I should be streaming Tuesday. Look, subscribe to the channel. We'll see what happens. Okay, just be there for the ride. I'll get my shit together. I'm sure.
I know
But the
there's
first,
That's
Go
his
on,
motto. I'm gonna get my
Yeah.
shit together.
hey, the first step is to subscribe. So let's get that out the way first. But that's all I got. Good people. I was looking forward to this. Again, I thought it was the CGI 2000, I think 2005, 2006 Ninja Turtles. So I was disappointed when I saw the thumbnail. But I'm always excited to talk Turtles.
Hell yeah.
So thank y'all for having me.
Thank you for being here, man, for sure. Gooch, brother, what about you, man?
What's up? I have this little channel of mine, Diabolical Souls Presents. I will be doing this Tuesday X-Men 97 episode 8 this week, I believe. And who knows who's going to be popping by. You just never know who might just pop in. Wednesday, we're reviewing Titan AE. Got a great panel for that. And then Thursday, of course, Demon Slayer episode 12 and 13. We had a blast last Thursday. It was quite entertaining. Yeah, I was like laughing a lot. We were laughing a ton. It's great to have these episodes that we review where they're not, there's no serious tone to them, and we could just laugh at it and pick it apart and watch other people explode. If you love animation, swing on by. I have quite a few guests lined up. They're going to be on the channel. Some really, really cool guests. And of course, I'll be on other people's streams. I'll be on Cannolis Monday. That one was scheduled I think 6 months in advance, I think. So I had this piece of paper written out. I'm like, oh, I'm not on Joe's, because I'm usually on Joe's for Spawn, because I love doing the Spawn talk on Joe's Monday. So
yeah, we'll figure something out.
Yeah. So that's about it.
I'll be Monday, the Spawn review at 9 p.m. here on this channel, and then at 10:15 on Monday, Appreciating Comic Book Art Live. I will be on the Tuesday show with Jay going over the X-Men stuff at 10. And then the rest of the week, I'm on vacation, including through that Monday. So I won't be back until the following Thursday. You can follow me on X, all social medias. It's Joe M Sonntag. Just type it in. You'll find me. Go check out my book, Reaper Destroyer, that is on Indiegogo now. I got the physical proof in that we're going to talk about at some point. A couple changes need to be made before I can actually send that to print, but that is looking fantastic. So there will be an unboxing video I will do later. I'm just lazy and haven't got it done yet. Lots of Marvel news dropping as we were doing the show. So everybody jump onto social media if you haven't done it now and discuss, because some interesting things. But until then, we're going to jump out of here. I don't really have an outro to this show yet. I did the last minute intro. So I'm just going to end the show here as we do it. But I'll just say, guys, thank you for coming on this panel and talking about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Had a blast. One of my favorite movies. Chat, thank you for joining us all night long. Everybody that's been watching. We got 140 people watching. Shout out to everybody that's over on X, blowing up over there. And until then, like I say, be good to each other. Take care of one another. And as always, picture me naked. Talk to you all later.